Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in part 1 of What If Jackie Chan was in W.I.T.C.H. Link down description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. It begins. Uncle's Rare Finds was a one-of-a-kind antique store located in San Francisco, owned by a single man who had no intent of making it a corporation. This man was indeed an elderly man, one of Chinese ethnicity, who didn't appear to have a single muscle on his body. He had baggy blue pants with light brown shoes, along with a white button-up shirt and a yellow sleeveless jacket over it. No one could have ever suspected that this man was indeed a great and mighty Kai wizard, whose magic spells have helped save the world from demons on numerous occasions. It was pretty late at night as the elderly man had already closed his shop for the day, and his apprentice roommate had already gone to sleep as he had used his feather duster to finish dusting some of his priceless antiques when the phone on his desk rang. The elderly man quickly answered it. Uncle's Rare Finds is closed for today. Call again tomorrow. Ah dear Jin, you may not want to sound too forceful if you want customers. Uncle gave a loud gasp at not just the elderly woman on the other line saying his name, but it was the voice that he recognized. Yan Lin. Good to hear you as well, Jin. Why you call me? You usually just write letters. Do I really need a reason to call and catch up? The elderly woman named Yan Lin teased, causing Uncle to roll his eyes and sigh. However, I do need your help with an urgent matter. Uncle caught the serious tone of her voice. How urgent? It is time for the next generation of guardians. Uncle gave yet another audible gasp as he almost shot out of his chair. Are you certain of this? The heart of Candrakar has been acting up. And it would seem that my granddaughter has been chosen. Uncle said nothing in response. The moment he heard the word, Candrakar, so many complicated feelings built up inside him. There was happiness for sure, but also anger and a great deal of sadness and regret as well. I will need you here in Heatherfield, soon. Yan Lin told him. It seems the others will be here as well within a few days. Oh, and please bring that nice nephew of yours you wrote to me about. Jackie. Uncle asked. From the letters you've wrote about him, he seems quite the warrior when it comes to battling the forces of darkness. Seeing how young this new generation of guardians might be, they will need the aid of someone who is more experienced to help train and guide them. Yan Lin explained. And it may be nice for that niece of yours as well to make some new friends. The old Kai wizard knew this was true. Jackie Chan has gone up against the ultimate evil himself and even bested him. Even Jade was instrumental against such monsters as well, despite being so young. Toru could be a big help as well, no pun intended. Very well. Uncle said over the phone. We will be there as soon as possible. Good, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Yan Lin said to him before Uncle hung up. Iya, Uncle sighed as he rubbed his hand down his face again. Candrakar again. The next day. Uncle, why are we flying off to Heatherfield so soon? It's on the other side of the country. A young man, who appeared to be in his late 20s or early 30s questioned as he followed his elderly uncle through the airport, along with a young girl no older than 12, and a very large man that one could easily mistake as a sumo wrestler. Because, an old friend of Uncle's has requested for our help. Uncle answered as they pulled their luggage towards the check-in desk. It would seem that new forces of darkness are beginning to rise. Though both men looked in surprise, the younger girl however had an eager grin on her face. Whoa, does that mean a new adventure? Yes, she pumped her fist. Ah, but Uncle, we've already defeated Shendu and the other demons. The young man exclaimed. Jackie is right, Sensei. The large man agreed. We've sealed all the portals, and even Captain Black has recovered the Paniku box. Ow. Ow. Jackie and the large man had both been slapped on the forehead by two of Uncle's fingers. Clean wax out of ears. Uncle stated. I said, new forces of darkness. Yes, Shendu and the other demon sorcerers have been defeated. However, by doing so, a void has been created, one that will soon be filled by another evil. One I fear may not just threaten Earth but other worlds as well. Other worlds? The girl asked. Does that mean aliens? She asked excitedly. No such thing. Uncle quickly said. Jade has been watching too many movies. We are dealing with separate dimensions. What's the difference? Jade asked with a shrug. But, why is Uncle? Jackie asked. He never did like being dragged into these magic battles against mystical forces of evil, and yet that always seems to be the case. Because, this particular battle will require additional forces. Uncle explained. You see, there will be a group of young warriors who will be granted magic powers to battle this new evil. And you, Jackie and Toru, must help train them. Train? Jackie asked. Ooh. Jade groaned. So we're not gonna fight anyone. I do not understand, Sensei. The large man named Toru said. All will be explained in due time. Uncle said. But for now, we must catch flight. Plane will not wait for us to take off, nor will forces of darkness wait for our arrival. We must go. There is no time for dilly-dally. As Uncle walked towards the check-in desk, Jade happened to look quite excited. Come on guys. Time for a new adventure. She quickly and excitedly followed her elderly great-uncle. Jackie looked emotionally exhausted, when Toru placed a hand on his shoulder. You know your uncle means well, Jackie. If he says it's important, it usually is. I know. Jackie nodded. I'm just not too thrilled about Jade being pulled into yet another crazy battle. She always finds a way to get involved. Toru said. That's just how she is. Jackie couldn't deny it. Despite being told repeatedly to stay back, Jade always comes charging in. Though he was proud of his niece and all she's accomplished, he just wished she had a normal life with friends that didn't involve her risking her life. But if these young warriors needed help in training, not only could Jackie train them, but maybe they could rub off a bit on Jade and she could potentially make new friends. She did always tell him how she barely made any real friends at her school. So, with nothing else needed to be said, Jackie and Toru caught up with Uncle and Jade as they got their tickets and boarded their flight to Heatherfield. Meridian, a world that exists completely separate from the Earth. One could make comparisons from it to medieval Europe, complete with castles. One such cast was the one that stood on the mountain top, one that seemed fit for a cruel and dark leader. The architecture was almost completely black from the outside with a vast swirling purple vortex hanging above it as the castle stood over a small town, a symbol of dominance and oppression. Yet, despite the intimidating appearance, there was still a young man who dared to try and enter. He was a tall person with brown hair and green eyes. He wore a brown trench coat over a gray shirt and pants with brown boots. He ran along the rooftops on the lower parts of the castle, through the rain as lightning and thunder boomed around him. He quickly and quietly slipped through an open window into what appeared to be a small armory. It was relatively unguarded as the only sentry appeared to be sleeping. He wore armor fit for a barbarian while bearing the appearance of an orc mixed with a troll. The young man quietly made his way toward a box and opened it to reveal a series of familiar swords. Phobos steals our weapons to use against us, he thought to himself as he scowled sliding. He turned and spotted a bow and a set of arrows hanging from the wall. He was quick to grab the bow. Aldarn's father made this bow. The young man quickly and quietly made his way to a pile of barrels containing explosive powder. He picked one up and put into a small window before putting another one in to push the first barrel out. The barrel fell down and into the moat below where the young man's comrade, a green-skinned humanoid with small horn-like features along his head. He used a hooked rod to pull the barrel, followed by several others that fell one at a time. He looked up toward the window. Caleb, that's enough. Get out. He knew his friend was in greater danger the longer he stayed in that castle. That would prove to be true as a sentry on a balcony below the armory spotted the falling barrels and quickly ran inside. The sentry ran into the armory and awoke his comrade to see the young man named Caleb. Hey, you. Caleb was busted. Looks like plan B. He grabbed a rope from the ceiling and swung toward a stack of boxes, while grabbing a torch with his free hand in the process as he landed. He stuffed the torch into a barrel of powder and threw it, almost like one would a grenade. The two guards panicked and ran just as the barrel rolled and hit the wall, causing a large explosion. However, the explosion was enough for the alarm to go off as a guard in another part of the castle blew on a horn to alert every single guard in the castle. They all grabbed whatever weapons they could, notably axes. Caleb had to get out fast. He threw another barrel and shot a flaming arrow at it towards the wall, creating another explosion that blew away the wall and much of the armory, giving Caleb the opening that he needed. He quickly jumped outside and dived straight into the moat below. No time to rest as he surfaced. A massive eel-like water monster was alerted to his presence. Caleb. Behind you. His green-skinned friend, Aldarn, warned as he threw his hook like a spear at the creature's neck, distracting it long enough for Caleb to swim away where Aldarn helped him out. Their reunion was cut short by a series of arrows shot at them by the orc-like guards from what was left of the armory that they could barely avoid. Aldarn was about to grab a barrel, but there wasn't enough time. "Leave the powder. Let's go," Caleb told him as the two made a run for it. The guards shot more arrows from the armory as they groaned in anger while a few helped their injured comrades up. However, their attention was quickly caught by an enormous snake-like humanoid creature that entered the room. He grabbed one of the injured guards and brought him close to his face. "Who did this SSS?" the large snake man questioned with a hiss. "A boy," the guard coughed. "One of the rebels. Find him," the snake man ordered. Earth. A storm brewed over the city of Heatherfield, but no one really seemed to care all that much as they went about their daily lives, including passing a local Chinese restaurant called the Silver Dragon, which also served as a home for the Lin family. The occupants being a young 12-year-old girl named He Lin, her parents, and her grandmother Yan Lin. The grandmother in question was tending to some laundry in the living room area. She knew that her old friend Jin Chan, along with his nephew Jackie, his great-niece Jade, and even his apprentice Toru would be arriving today as well. She was excited to see him after so long, as well as meeting his family for the first time. Her thoughts however were suddenly interrupted by a loud and booming sound, almost like a whirlwind mixed with thunder coming from upstairs. Before she could dwell on what was going on, she saw the cabinet door on her right open slightly, almost automatically, to reveal a cracked open chest with a strong pink glow emanating from it. She gave an audible gasp as she knew what it meant. When she heard the door opening behind her, she was quick to close the cabinet and turned to see the distressed face of her granddaughter. "Grandma, I sneezed and like totally trashed my room. What's wrong with me? It's not one of those becoming a woman things, is it?" "Hey Lin, you're just a growing girl," Yan Lin tried to assure her. "Probably a common cold, nothing to worry about." She knew that it was really her granddaughter's powers starting to grow. She didn't think it happened this quickly, guess it was a good thing the Chan family would be arriving later today. Though she'd hoped they get some rest from the jet lag. "Say, why not invite some friends over for an after-school snack?" Yan Lin offered. "How about Cornelia, or Terani, or that funny girl, Irma?" He Lin smiled. "Sure, sounds like fun." Suddenly, someone else came to mind. "Or that new girl, Will." She looked in minor surprise. "I wonder why I thought of her." Yan Lin smiled a bit, having used a small portion of her own power to sort of influence her granddaughter's thoughts a bit. Sheffield Institute was a special type of school that taught classes from 7th grade to 12th, seemed like a middle school and high school all rolled up in one. The newest student to the in-state, a red-haired 13-year-old girl named Will Vandam, had just arrived with an umbrella, her mother having dropped her off. "Go on Will, and don't forget, make lots of new friends today," her mother told her with a loving smile. "I put a dozen extra cookies in your lunch, to help break the ice with the other girls." "Gee, that'll make me popular," Will muttered to herself sarcastically before waving her mother goodbye and walking toward her new school. Jade gave a loud and audible yawn as she stretched her arms as she and her family walked out of the plane and into the airport. "Aw man, 6 hours. I hate long flights," Jade complained as she stretched out. "No time to rest. We must meet with old friend immediately," Uncle stated as Jackie and Toru followed with the group's suitcases. "But Uncle, we haven't even checked into a hotel yet," Jackie said. "Forces of darkness are on the move. We must move even faster if we are to be ready," Uncle stated as he continued to lead the tired group. "I wonder just who these warriors are," Toru wondered aloud. "Whoever they are, I hope they're awesome," Jade stated. "And perhaps they can serve as a good influence for you Jade," Jackie told his niece, and she responded with an annoyed eye roll. Meridian. The storm had cleared as Caleb and Aldarn had made it well past the castle town, but they still didn't stop running as they probably had several of Phobos' soldiers chasing after them. "I told you to take a rope," Aldarn scolded his friend. "You also told me I couldn't break into the castle," Caleb joked as he handed Aldarn the bow he carried. "Here's your father's bow. At least this won't be used against us." Caleb however almost slipped as they ran toward an edge of a deep and large canyon into the ground. It was way too far for them to jump, and too deep for them to jump below without seriously injuring themselves. Both of them heard a loud and animalistic call as they turned around and saw a small army of sentries, and even uglier creatures, all marching toward them as they rode several rhino-like steeds. They would be on them in no time. However, both of the young rebels looked down into the canyon and spotted a small group of ostrich-like creatures. Huggins. They both recognized them with wide smiles. They may be able to escape yet. With the small army closing in on them, the two rebels ran along the side of the canyon. How far down do you think it goes? Aldarn asked. Jump, and I'll tell you. Caleb replied as they jumped towards a small stone tower that was closer toward the ground, before jumping to another that hung right over the Huggins. Once they were close enough to jump without injuring themselves if they landed on the ground, they each leapt onto a Huggin. The ostrich-like creatures were startled by this and almost ran on a panic. Whoa, easy boy, Aldarn tried to calm his makeshift steed. They were both able to at least pull their Huggins toward a smaller canyon that led them further away from the army, but their ride was anything but smooth. Whoa, you ugly overgrown chicken. I said whoa. Caleb tried to calm his down as they escaped, leaving the small army groaning in anger and frustration as they were unable to follow them with their own rhino steeds. Earth, Sheffield Institute. Several students had gathered in the gymnasium to present their science projects. One group was a trio of girls, a 14-year-old blonde Caucasian, a 13-year-old Latina with light brown hair, and a 13-year-old African-American blue-haired girl with glasses. Cornelia, our project is supposed to that too much fertilizer reverses osmosis, killing the plant. The African-American girl, Terani, told the blonde named Cornelia. Yours has grown like 3 inches. Cornelia sighed in annoyance. Well, I tried to kill it. I fertilized its little butt off. The Latina girl named Irma gave a subtle gasp. The judge. She warned her friends of the judge and Principal Knickerbocker who were coming their way. Cornelia tried to actually beat down the plant to make it look as dead as the other two, while Irma and Terani tried to cover her. It didn't seem like the principal or the judge noticed. Oh great, you and your little girly fists are gonna cost us a ribbon. Irma said to Cornelia as she finished pounding the plant. Oddly though, the blonde looked in surprise to see her plant recover almost immediately. Will had entered the gymnasium and wandered around. Since she was new, she didn't have any projects to present. So, she thought she might as well look at some of the other stuff the other students made. She happened to pass by a group of 4 punkish-looking teenage boys. Hey, check out the new girl. One punk noticed her. Hey Wilma. It's just Will. She glared at him. Okay, Wilma. He teased again, resulting in his pals laughing as Will walked toward the stand Irma, Cornelia, and Terani were at. Hey Lynn was nearby as well. That's Uriah. Ignore him. Hey Lynn told Will. Yeah, evolution did. Irma cracked. One day we expect him to slither back into the water. However, the second she said that, right as one of Uriah's pals took a drink from a nearby drinking fountain, only for the water to spray out and land right at Uriah's face. Though Irma looked in honest shock, pretty much everyone else who saw that laughed. Hey! Uriah exclaimed to his friend. Sorry Uriah, I don't know what happened. The 5 girls shared a quick laugh. Oh, hey Lynn, I got your note. Will said to her. Thanks so much for the invitation. So what time are we eating? Though Terani and Irma seemed to smile at the thought of a new friend being made, Cornelia looked a bit skeptical. She invited, new girl, too. She whispered to her friends. Cornelia. Terani scolded. Unfortunately, Will did hear it and looked a bit upset before she pulled out the box of cookies her mom had packed. Want a cookie? She offered with a strained smile. Meridian. Within the very same dark castle that Caleb escaped from was a large and dark throne room with dark purple stained glass windows all around, as well as large pillars decorated with black roses. The occupant of the room sat upon a black throne that was perched high on top a long set of stairs behind a large tree of thorns, was a young man with long white hair, wearing a black and red royal robe along with a dark red crown. Another man entered the chamber. He had the appearance of a young man with short blonde hair and purple eyes and a noble green robe. He bowed before the man in the throne. Prince Phobos, we have had a breach. The armory has been destroyed, and the interlopers escaped the main guard. We suspect they head for the mountains. The man identified as Prince Phobos wasn't too pleased with this. The more success the rebels have, the more it emboldens the peasants to rise up. This is too important to leave to guards. The man in green understood. Yes, my prince, he said with a hiss. His eye quickly turned into reptilian slits as his whole body had undergone a powerful transformation. It grew in size and strength as his skin turned into green scales, his legs transforming into a massive tail, and his muscles growing exponentially. His transformation was complete, revealing himself as the humanoid serpent from before. I shall handle it, Missilf. With a final hiss, he quickly slithered out the main gate. As Phobos sat back on his throne, another man had entered the room from the shadows along the wall. Unlike the previous two, he had the appearance of a scrawny elderly man who appeared well over 100 years old. He had long white hair with really pale skin with black tattoos on his face, his right eye being teal blue and his left eye being yellow. He had a black robe with pointed shoulders and teal blue arm sleeves. My prince. The elderly man bowed. Why send that fool, Cedric? I can easily intercept and eliminate the rebel myself. I have no doubt you can. Phobos said. However, I need you here to reinforce the castle's defenses. I cannot tolerate a breach, even if the damage is only minor. I have already repaired the armory and even saw to it the sentry in there has been properly punished. Phobos had an impressive smirk on his face. So quick to solve the problem. I knew I was right to recruit you to my cause, Daolong Wang. Your vast knowledge of dark magic has been most beneficial to me. The elderly man known as Daolong Wang bowed respectfully as an evil smile graced his face. I am truly grateful for your generosity, mighty Prince Phobos. While the wizards of Earth would see me hunted down, your realm of Meridian enables me to act as I see fit. Just make sure I do not regret my decision. He gave Wang an eye showing that he was not so easily deceived or manipulated. I assure you, you will not. Wang bowed once more before vanishing in a puff of dark blue smoke. Earth. The Silver Dragon. Jackie, Jade, Uncle, and Toru all walked into the restaurant, and Jade immediately took a liking to it. Wow, nice place. So, Uncle, this is where we are meeting your old friend? Jackie asked. You guessed right. Yan Lin answered as she walked onto the scene. Hello Jin, it's been a while. She greeted Uncle with a smile. Uncle bore a friendly smile as well. Good to see you as well, Yan Lin. Jin, who the heck is Jin? Jade questioned. Jade, Jin is Uncle's first name. His full name is Jin Chan. Jackie told his niece, much to hers and even Toru's surprise. I always thought his name was Uncle. Jade voiced with wide eyes as she looked towards Toru, who simply shrugged. And this handsome young man must be your nephew, Jackie. Yan Lin walked towards the aforementioned man. A pleasure to meet you, your uncle has written much about you in his letters. To battle the likes of demons with your bare hands is something not just anyone can brag about. Oh, well thank you. Jackie shook her hand with a friendly smile before he looked in surprise. Uncle told you about Shendu and his kin. Of course, it's one of the reasons I invited you all here. Yan Lin responded casually before turning to the rest of the group, particularly the largest man present. You must be Jin's apprentice, Toru. You certainly are a big boy, you must eat very well. Thank you. A pleasure to meet you as well, Miss Lin. Toru bowed his head as to respect his elder. Yan Lin then looked to the only other female in the room. And this cute little tyke must be Jade. You certainly are a pretty girl. Thanks, but I don't like to be called that stuff. Jade said. So, how do you know Uncle? Oh, we were quite the item in our day. Yan Lin answered. You were Uncle's girlfriend. Jade practically shouted. Jackie. Uncle had a girlfriend. Did you know Uncle had a girlfriend? Toru, did you know Uncle had a girlfriend? Jackie and Toru were a bit surprised as well. Uncle never mentioned this to any of them before. Sensei, Toru was lost for words. Uncle, you never said. You never asked. Uncle said simply, causing Jackie, Jade, and Toru to look in wide-eyed fashion before practically falling over. They certainly are a lively bunch. Yan Lin complimented. Please, all of you have a seat. She directed them towards a large table where they each took a seat, with Toru having to sit on 2 chairs. You must all be tired from the long flight here, so please relax. Yan Lin brought some water for everyone as well as a tray of fortune cookies. Awesome. Free fortune cookies. Thanks. Jade took one and cracked it open to read the fortune inside. You will make a new best friend. She looked a bit in surprise. Still better than, danger looms in your future. Thank you, Jackie said. Miss Lin, I do not mean to sound rude, but Uncle told us that we were called here for a reason. To help some warriors fight this big bad evil. Jade said excitedly before motioning some punches and kicks. Yan Lin smiled at Jade's enthusiasm. Yes, and they will be here shortly. They should be back from school any minute. Back from school? Jade asked. What are they, kids or something? As a matter of fact, yes. Yan Lin answered, much to the surprise of everyone else except for Uncle. They really aren't all that much older than you, Jade, one of them being my granddaughter, Hey Lin. Children. Jackie shared a shocked look with Toru. The warriors they were told to come and help fight evil were children. Almost on K, the door opened as a group of 5 girls walked in. Deep in their own conversation they didn't seem to notice Jackie, Jade, Uncle, and Toru with Yan Lin. So, Will, where did you go to school before Sheffield? Terani asked the red-haired girl. Hello. Who cares? Cornelia spoke up before Will could answer. Have you guys noticed a bunch of real strange stuff going around me lately? Irma gave a fake gasp. Oh dear. The conversation has accidentally wandered away from Cornelia's life. Whatever were we thinking? This resulted in the other girls, minus Cornelia, laughing in amusement. Ahem. Yan Lin coughed rather loudly to get the 5 girls' attention as they just noticed the Chan family, and Toru, sitting at the table. Hello. Jackie waved sheepishly as even Toru had an awkward, yet friendly, smile. Okay, this is awkward. Irma said aloud. Duh. Jade added. What the heck is going on here? Cornelia questioned irritably. Who the heck are these people? If this is some kind of trick ow. The blonde rubbed her forehead where Uncle just delivered one of his titular dope slaps. Did you just slap me? Blonde girl must show respect. You are very rude to host. Uncle chastised. I like this guy already. Irma whispered to Will. Hey Lin coughed slightly. So, Grandma, what's with this surprise? She tried to sound the least rude she could be, or else risk getting dope slapped herself. Girls, I want you to meet a long old friend of mine. Jin Chan. She introduced the oldest man first. This is his nephew Jackie, his great niece Jade, and his apprentice, Toru. Hello. Jackie smiled. Sup. Jade waved. Nice to meet you. Toru nodded. Most of the girls were taken by surprise at Toru's size alone. Whoa, you a sumo wrestler pal? Irma asked in surprise. Toru blushed slightly. I'm actually rather small for a sumo. If he's small, I don't want to see a regular-sized sumo. Terani muttered to herself. Jade smirked. He may be small, but Big T here packs a huge punch. I can believe that, Will muttered. Please everyone, have a seat. Hey Lin told the group as she brought out a small chest just as the girls began to sit at the same table. Let me tell all of you a story, that I believe may have a special impact on each and every one of you. Hey Lin looked a little embarrassed. Grandma, they really don't want to hear a story. Yan Lin playfully shushed her granddaughter as she began to spin her finger, creating a large astral image of what appeared to be the known universe. Though Jackie, Jade, and Toru looked in minor surprise, it wasn't all that big given their past experience. Will, Irma, Terani, Cornelia, and Hey Lin's eyes all widened, and their jaws practically dropped. Uncle however didn't look the least bit surprised. Whoa, how come we never seen you do that, Uncle? Jade asked. Uncle gave a slight scoff. Simple projection spell. Very easy to cast. Long ago, the universe as we know it, was once one single entity, ruled and guarded by the forces of good. Yan Lin began to tell her story. However, the universe also seeks balance, yin and yang. Light and darkness, order and chaos, good and evil. One world, the kingdom of Meridian, was overtaken by dark forces. In order to prevent the rest of the universe from falling into chaos, a great and magical veil was created to isolate Meridian and contain its evil. The magical projection showed a green planetoid that represented Meridian being covered by black roses and thrones, with a purple and vibrant aura surrounding the planet to represent the veil. The one responsible for this darkness is a man named Phobos. The projection began to shift as the black roses and vines changed into the form of a throne and the aforementioned tyrant sat at the top. Jackie looked to the projection of Phobos with a slight glare, reminding him very much of the likes of Valmont, even Shendu. But he is not the legitimate ruler. Meridian's inhabitants believe that the true heir to the throne is somewhere here on Earth. I'd like to wake up now. Irma voiced. SSHH. Jade shushed her. This is getting good. She voiced with an eager grin, having a good idea where this is going. Yanlin continued her story. But portals have begun to open in the Vale. The magical projection showed a blue swirling portal for emphasis. Doorways through which evil can cross between worlds. There are people called guardians whose job it is to close these holes using their magical powers. She snapped her fingers as the projection vanished. I became the guardian when I was your age. But now the duty is passing to your generation. Cornelia immediately stood up. Well, thanks for the snacks. Ow. She had been dope slapped by Uncle once more. Sit down. Story not finished yet, Uncle exclaimed. The blonde girl immediately sat back down as the other 5 girls sunk deeper into their chairs, as well, with the hope of avoiding being slapped. So these guardians are like magic police? Jade asked. Pretty much. Yanlin nodded. Cool. Jade smiled. Were you a guardian to Uncle? No. Guardians were all women. Uncle was not a guardian. Your uncle may not have been an official guardian, Jade, but he was more than helpful with me and my friends in our youth. Yanlin said. He was already a novice Kai wizard, and he was quite the young master when it came to Kung Fu. Jade's smile didn't fade in the least. Go Uncle. Though Jackie and Toru were a bit surprised, they quickly came back to the moment. So, this Phobos, you think he's going to come here to Earth? Toru asked. Most definitely. Yanlin confirmed. He already rules Meridian with an iron fist. Though there is a rebellion going on, they have yet to make any significant progress in defeating him. If he isn't stopped, I fear that not just Earth, but other worlds may be threatened by his darkness. Jackie had a very good idea where this was going, though he didn't really like the idea. He figured it was something like this from what Uncle said before they arrived here. You want us to help fight him, don't you? Not quite. Yanlin told Jackie. Yes, I do expect that you will be fighting his forces, Jackie, but you will not be doing it alone. Jackie only looked confused at that response as Yanlin opened the box she brought out and pulled out a glowing pink jewel by a string necklace. This is the heart of Kandrakar, which contains the elementary forces of nature. Yanlin showed the crystal, as the 6 girls, Jackie, and Toru looked in awe. Though it was small, they could tell there was something very special about it. Uncle however looked at it with contempt. Some bad memories surrounded that jewel. In the past few days, the 5 of you have each had unusual experiences, am I right? Not counting this one, Irma muttered to herself. Unusual pretty much defines my life at this point. Jade said. All 5 of you are starting to notice extraordinary abilities. Yanlin told them. Irma, you will have noticed any water near you behaving strangely. Uncle handed Irma the glass of water that he had with a straw in it. Irma looked at it almost skeptically as she took the straw and started to stir the water, but as she pulled the straw out, she actually pulled out some of the water which hovered over the glass for a bit. That caught everyone, minus Uncle, by surprise. Though Jackie and Toru have seen and experienced the water element at work, this was the first time they'd seen a human girl use it. Irma's shocked expression seemed to trigger the water falling back into the glass, causing her to look even more befuddled. Okay, alrighty. Terani, I believe you have always been afraid of fire. Yanlin told the bespectacled girl. But focus now on the candle. Terani nervously pointed her finger toward the candle near her, but as she twitched, she shot a small flame from her finger that missed the candle and hit the tablecloth below it. Jackie immediately poured the water from his glass onto the small flame to extinguish it immediately. Terani thankfully smiled at Jackie, who smiled back. Jade didn't look all that impressed. Shendu's was way worse, she muttered to herself. Yanlin held a lampshade in her hand as she looked to her granddaughter. My little Heilin, this morning you noticed your power over air. Heilin exhaled and sent a small gust of wind to inflate the lampshade. To you Cornelia, is gifted the power of earth. Yanlin said as she handed the blonde girl a small potted plant. Cornelia shakily held her hand over the pot as the small plant which quickly grew into a blooming flower, causing her to look in amazement, until the plant broke out of the pot and spread some of its roots across the table. Jackie and Toru, especially Jade, looked in amazement. These girls just showed off elemental powers. Granted, they didn't seem as magnificent or powerful as the demon sorcerers they recently defeated, but this was still pretty amazing. All 5 of you will get better with your powers. I hope. Yan Lin stated. Did you say 5? Hei Lin asked as everyone looked to the only girl who didn't seem to display any kind of power. Will looked as though she'd seen Bigfoot, stunned silent with wide eyes. Oh, what power do you got? Jade asked excitedly. Thunder, sky, mountain, what about moon? Oh, it has gotta be moon. That power is awesome. I can't even do that trick where it looks like your thumb comes apart. Will exclaimed as she held her hands up defensively. Seriously, this is nuts. I mean, magic, space, guardians. Am I the only one not about to have a panic attack right now? Yan Lin gently put her hand on Will's shoulder to try and calm her down. One of the 5 binds the others, and with the heart of Kandrakar, unites them, summoning and magnifying their powers. The crystal in question lifted itself from Yan Lin's hand and hovered over the table as almost everyone looked at it in further amazement till it floated its way toward Will, almost as if the heart was choosing her. Recap, Terani stood up. We gotta protect the world from evil by repairing holes in some kind of veil. And probably beating the crap out of bad guys. Jade exclaimed excitedly. This is so cool. Irma seemed just as excited. When can we start? You already have. Yan Lin answered. So, these 5 girls are supposed to be magical guardians? Jackie asked, not liking the idea of children getting involved in some kind of magical war. Yan Lin seemed to understand his concerns. And that is why you are here as well, to help train them. Training. Cornelia, Will, and Jackie all questioned at the same time. You expect girls to be ready to face forces of darkness like that? Uncle questioned, snapping his fingers for emphasis. You all need proper training. To hone your skills, to master your own bodies and magic. What kind of training exactly? Hei Lin asked. Don't tell me we're gonna get karate lessons. Cornelia voiced skeptically. Kung Fu. Uncle answered. Best self-defense. Whole body becomes a secret weapon. Trust me, Jackie is the best evil fighter out there. Jade stated. He took on crime lords, magic ninjas, and super-powered demons with his bare hands. Heck, pit Jackie against this Phobos guy and he'll knock him out so fast he won't know what hit him. Most of the girls were taken by surprise as Irma and Hei Lin looked to him excitedly. You fought demons? Hei Lin questioned with a wide grin on her face. Real-life demons? As in monsters straight from hell? Irma asked with an eager tone as well. Well, not exactly. Jackie tried to sound humble. I didn't necessarily fight, I merely kept them busy as Uncle was the one who banished them. Banished? Terani questioned. Yeah, Uncle and Toru are wizards. Jade added. Wizards? Seriously? Hei Lin asked. Well, I'm only an apprentice. Toru said. Sensei is the experienced Kai wizard. Please. Cornelia scoffed. If this guy's an actual wizard, then I'm Gandalf the Grey. And demons? Really, this is all just a bunch of Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Yumo Gui Gui Fi Di Zhao. Uncle cited his titular chant as a green magic energy sphere materialized in his hands before it took the form of a Chinese dragon that flew around all 5 of the girls as they looked in amazement, or fear in Will's case, before it stopped near Cornelia and gave her an Uncle Dope slap on her forehead. Ow. Cornelia rubbed her forehead again before the magic dragon vanished. Proof enough for ya, Jade said with a smug grin while Cornelia comically sulked in defeat. I can understand this may be stressful for all of you. Hei Lin told the whole group. However, a dark and difficult time lies ahead, and many good people will need your help. Jin, Jackie, Toru, Jade, you have had plenty of experience battling the forces of darkness, and you can make this transition much less difficult. She turned her attention to the 5 chosen girls as the heart of Kandrakar floated in front of them. Will, Irma, Terani, Cornelia, Hei Lin, you have been chosen as the new guardians of the veil. Meridian. At the same time, Daolan Wang recited a dark magic chant within his own personal chambers into a fountain of black water. He was presently searching for portals to Earth with the hopes of locating Phobos' sibling. However, something caught his attention as the black water became much more active. He may have located a portal, but he detected some new and powerful magic he never felt for a long time. The black water shifted to reveal the setting of the silver dragon on Earth with a certain red-haired girl holding a familiar jewel. Wang's eyes widened in surprise as he stopped the process. The heart of Kandrakar. Earth, the silver dragon. Will looked at the floating crystal before fear and anxiety took over. No. She pushed the floating heart away, causing it to fall onto the table. I can't do this. I can't. She quickly ran out of the restaurant. Hey, where's she going? Jade asked. She's frightened. Yan Lin said. I can't say I blame her. Is she gonna be okay? Irma asked with concern. I will speak with her. Jackie stood up and walked out of the restaurant. The moment became a bit awkward as the four remaining girls looked towards Jade, Uncle, and Toru. So, you're a wizard? Hey Lin asked Uncle. Does that mean you got some fancy robes or a wand? He actually uses a blowfish. Jade answered. A blowfish? Cornelia asked skeptically. Where's the logic in that? Terani seemed just as skeptical. As Uncle and Toru tried to explain the concept of Kai magic to the other girls, Yan Lin looked in silent. It seemed that most of them were on board, all with the exception of Will, though she was certain Jackie would be able to calm her down. Though she never met him before now, she could tell that he probably knew what she was feeling right now. Will sat on a bench near the busy street as she tried to wrap her head around what just happened. Her parents had only recently got a divorce and was only the new girl at school for just a few short days. Now all of a sudden, she's supposed to be some kind of magic guardian made to fight bad guys from another world. Why her? This was both insane and unfair. She certainly saw enough to make her believe that magic was real, which she still hasn't gotten over, but why her? All she wants is just to have a nice and normal life. Is that really too much to ask? Her chaotic thoughts were halted when she saw a bottle of water being handed to her by none other than Jackie. Here, trust me, it helps. Will took the bottle and immediately began to chug the water down. It was able to help calm her down slightly so there was no further risk of her having a panic attack. Thanks, she said to Jackie, who nodded with a smile. So, this is real. Seems that way. Jackie acknowledged as he sat down next to her. Magic, monsters, all of it. It's really real, Will said, still in a small state of shock, despite having calmed down. Yes, it is. Jackie had seen more than enough to make him a believer at this point. Will glanced towards him and saw that he was holding the heart of Kandrakar in his right hand. Keep that thing away from me. I don't want anything to do with it. Jackie sighed. He had a feeling this would be the case. I know. I understand how it feels. How? How could you understand? Will questioned. I just want things to be normal. I don't want to fight some evil dark lord or whatever. I just want to be normal. That's it. I can understand that very well. Jackie began. Just over a year ago, I was a simple archaeologist. I had a few adventures, but it was mostly just trips to ruins and excavation sites, translating parchments and inscriptions. I was content with a very simple life with my uncle, and even my niece whom her parents sent to live with me to learn some discipline. That is until one of my excavations led me to a shield that just so happened to have a magic talisman embedded into it. This led to me getting involved with government agencies, fighting a crime syndicate, and even an immortal demon sorcerer. It felt as though I was thrust into a completely different world. Will looked at him in surprise as she hung onto every word. So, why didn't you try to get out of it? At first, I thought my role would be as something of a consultant. Jackie continued. However, as my family became involved, they were placed in danger and I tried to protect them as best I could, and one thing led to another. So, I stayed, because I knew that if that kind of power fell into the wrong hands, so many people would be endangered, not just my family. I've even been placed in circumstances that could have decided the fate of the entire planet. But I kept going, because it felt like it was the right thing to do. Will had no idea what to say to any of this. Jackie put a hand on her shoulder as he gave her an understanding look. I know just how stressful this can be. Jackie continued. But, you're not alone. Each of those girls probably feels the same way you do. He held the heart of Kandrakar closer. If you decided to take this, you won't be doing it alone. It won't just be them either, Uncle, Toru, even Jade and myself will all be there. I know I may have only just met you, Will, but I am more than willing to be here for you whenever you feel you need me. I'll do everything in my power to help. She looked at him in surprise, but the look in his eyes told her that he was telling the truth. However, I won't force you to do anything you don't want to. Jackie continued. This has to be your choice. But who knows? While my adventures have all been dangerous, there were plenty of good experiences to take from them as well. I've even made several good friends I never thought I'd have before, and you may experience all that yourself. But again, that has to be your choice. Will looked from him toward the heart of Kandrakar. She still felt nervous, but now it didn't seem as bad. She wouldn't be doing this alone, she'd have other people to help her, even those who have experience with this sort of thing. And maybe, if this man, this honest and kind-hearted man said that there would be plenty of good experiences to come from it, then maybe it was worth it. With a deep breath, Will took the heart in her hands. Okay, I'll give it a try. Jackie smiled at her. Promise that, you'll still be here to help me. Jackie smiled as he placed a firm hand on her shoulder. Will, I promise that I will be here whenever you need me. Will smiled back at the man. Thanks, Mr. Chan. Please, call me Jackie. Meridian. Caleb and Aldarn had managed to not only loose the small army previously chasing them but had even gained some significant distance. It would seem the two rebels were safe as they dismounted their tired Hagen steeds. Thanks for the ride, how much do I owe you? Caleb jokingly asked the ostrich-like creature before it, and the one Aldarn was riding collapsed on the ground to get some sleep. The Infinite City is still an hour's walk, Caleb. Aldarn said as they looked toward their destination across a large and empty field. For you, I'm not going, Caleb said, much to Aldarn's surprise. What? I heard something from my informant. Caleb explained. Phobos has discovered the rightful heir to the throne is alive, on Earth. I need to find a portal. If we don't find the missing heir before Phobos does, Meridian and Earth are both doomed. He placed his hands firmly on his friend's shoulders, who did the same. Tell the men to stay strong, and the women not to worry. I hope to see you soon, Aldarn. With that farewell, both friends went their separate ways as Aldarn ran toward the Infinite City while Caleb ran back in the direction they came. Caleb climbed his way up a rocky hillside. However, once he reached the top, he looked in shock as he came face to face with the large humanoid serpent that was Cedric. How can something so small be so troublesome? Cedric said with a hiss. Before Caleb could even react, Cedric slammed his massive tail at Caleb to send him rolling and tumbling down the hillside as the large serpent man gave pursuit. Earth, Heatherfield, Jackie, Jade, Uncle, and Toru, along with Will, Irma, Terani, Cornelia, and Heylin were all gathered underneath Heatherfield's main bridge. It seemed like a good spot for the girls to practice their newfound powers, and for Jackie and the others to see what they can do so they know where to improve upon. Plus, no one else was around, so they wouldn't risk exposing any secrets as well. So, you can really use magic? Heylin asked Toru excitedly. I know the basics, the large man answered, but I'm still far from ready when it comes to the more advanced spells. Well, with your, size, I thought you could coat your giant fists in magic and smash through solid steel. Irma stated. That'd be pretty cool. Toru smiled kindly at the girls. It doesn't really work that way. There's a whole lot of reading and studying as well. Irma looked a bit disappointed. Wow, sounds too much like homework. Tell me about it. Jade rolled her eyes. So, you can use magic too? Terani asked her. Jade shrugged. I'd prefer to just kick people. Irma smiled. I like ya, Jade. You seem pretty cool. Ditto. Jade smiled back and gave a friendly point with her finger. Hello. Cornelia seemed to get everyone's attention. Am I the only sane person here? We're supposed to be some kind of magic guardians fighting evil. Does anyone not notice how insane that all sounds? You want me to call Uncle over here to have him slap you again? Jade warned, causing Cornelia to immediately flinch. What about that flower you grew when you looked at it? Terani recalled to Cornelia. Or the water from Irma's glass, or that dragon Jade's uncle drew in the air. As the group continued to talk, Uncle looked at the 5 girls and for a moment, he saw 5 different girls standing in their place. For some of them, he had pretty fond memories of, for one there was only sadness, but for the other, there was an intense amount of bitterness and resentment. This was enough for Uncle to give a deep sigh, whether it was out of nostalgia or grief, no one could say. "Uncle, you've dealt with this kind of thing before?" Jackie asked him, referring to when Yan Lin said that he fought alongside her and the previous Guardians. "Yes, Uncle has. How do you think I entered the world of magics?" "Well, why didn't you tell us before?" Jackie asked. Uncle sighed. "Uncle has bad memories. Don't misunderstand, there have been plenty of good times back then, but it just didn't end too well." Jackie could tell that this was probably a sensitive subject for Uncle, so he chose not to press. Instead, he directed his attention towards Will, who still looked at the heart she wore, though with some reluctance. There was a bit of acceptance with the girl. "So, what?" Will asked. "Do I just flip a switch or say some kind of magic word like Shazam, or ow?" Uncle had dope slapped Will before taking the heart in his hand. "To call upon your power, you must feel it," Uncle explained. "As the bearer, only you can summon the power of the other guardians. Look inside and feel the power that lies deep within." "Okay, power within." Will took a deep sigh as she tried to concentrate. As she did, she actually did feel something that was deep inside her. And that seemed to translate into the heart of Kandrakar that began to glow brightly. It hovered in the air, along with Will's whole body as it began to pulse and send it out several magic energy waves. Everyone looked in surprise and amazement, all save for Uncle, who simply had a serious expression on his face. None, however, were more amazed than Will as she could feel the power flowing through her body. She didn't know why, but she knew exactly what to say, almost as if on instinct. "Guardians unite." The heart shined brightly, almost like the sun, as Will was engulfed in a sphere of pink energy. 4 other streams of elemental magic then flowed out to the other girls surrounding her. A white stream of energy shaped like the wind encircled Heilin before her body was engulfed in a white magic sphere. A stream of magic fire flowed around Terani before she was also engulfed in an orange magic sphere. Energized magic water flowed around Irma before her body was entrapped in a bright blue magic sphere. Finally, Cornelia was surrounded by a stream of green energy, which had leaves flowing around it, before her body was encompassed in a green energy sphere. The 5 colored spheres, however, in each air as ancient elemental magic symbols formed on the spheres, while Jackie and his group looked in awe but had to quickly cover their eyes from a bright flash of light. When the light subsided, the 5 guardians stood fully transformed. Each of them now bore the appearances of not teenage girls, but young women. Almost as if they grew up right then and there. Each of them had similar outfits, but also different in a way. Will had a pink long-sleeved shirt with loose sleeves, a green skirt, blue and green striped tights, and dark purple boots. Terani had a pink sleeveless shirt, exposing her midriff with pink wristbands. Dark green shorts with blue and green striped tights, and dark purple tennis shoes. Irma had a dark green long-sleeved shirt with an exposed midriff, with a purple skirt, blue and green striped tights, along with purple boots. Heilin wore a dark green sleeveless shirt, with an exposed midriff, along with purple dress and blue and green striped tights with purple shoes. Finally, Cornelia had a dark green long-sleeved shirt as well, with a long purple dress stretching down to her heels, green and blue tights and dark purple boots. But what really stood out were the butterfly-like wings that grew out of each of their backs. "Whoa," Jade voiced with wide eyes. "Incredible," Jackie uttered. "Amazing," Toru stated in surprise. Uncle said nothing, but actually had something of a reminiscent smile on his face. "That is, totally awesome," Jade yelled at the top of her lungs. "I mean, yeah, the outfits are a little girly, but that transformation sequence was so cool." As Jade continued to voice their excitement, the transformed guardians looked at their new appearances with awe and amazement. "Holy crap," Will could not believe it. "You know, somehow I cannot picture your grandma wearing that," Irma said to Heilin, who looked at her wings in excitement. "What have we got behind us? What have we got in front of us?" Cornelia looked to her chest and how much it's grown with a shallow laugh. "Are those wings? You guys got actual wings?" Jade looked at Will's wings as she tried to look back at them herself. "They can't be wings. If they were wings, when we went like this we would." Will then gave a startled scream as her wings flapped rapidly and she actually took to the sky. Heilin followed suit and shot straight into the air. "They can fly," Jackie voiced in surprise. "Of course," Uncle said. In addition to their own elemental powers being magnified, their physical strength is also enhanced, and they are able to fly as well. Sweet! Jade exclaimed with a wide grin, silently wishing she had the rooster and rabbit talismans with her so she could fly with them. This is simply amazing. Toru looked towards the laughing and cheering Heilin as she flew up and around in every which way, while Will herself struggled to find some kind of balance in the air. This totally rocks. Irma flapped her wings excitedly. Terani, you do something. Terani tried to point her finger again like in the restaurant only to shoot a stronger flame that knocked her back as the fire shot upward and fell back down to create a small blaze on the ground, which Toru was quick to put out with a fire extinguisher that Uncle insisted he'd bring. See, that's exactly why I don't like fire. Terani pointed out as Toru gave a sympathetic smile while offering her a hand up like a gentleman, which he took. You do something now. Jade excitedly ran towards Irma. You got it. Irma thrusted both her hands forward to send a large water ball from her palms, the force knocking her down as well, while the water ball itself flew and curved in the air until it splashed all over Jackie. Oops, sorry. It's fine. Don't worry about it, Jackie assured as he dried himself off with a towel that Uncle handed him. Alright, your turn, Blondie. Jade looked to Cornelia. What do you expect me to do? There's no soil or plants here. You are Earth Guardian, Uncle stated as he walked towards her. Earth means ground. Are you standing on ground right now? Yes. Then use your powers. Okay. Just don't slap me again. Cornelia backed up slightly as she waved her hand around the ground, only for a small tremor to occur as a large cactus-like plant shot out from underneath her to knock her off her feet. She looked down to see an earthworm crawling onto her hand, resulting in her screaming and running away, only for the struggling Will to fall and land on top of her. I have never seen anything this cool. Jade exclaimed. Seriously, this is just so awesome, I don't have the words. Man, I wish I had those kind of powers. Jackie smiled as he walked towards the down Will and Cornelia and offered them both a hand up. Will smiled as she accepted and Cornelia did as well, though she seemed more irritated than grateful. I am glad to see you all enjoying yourselves, Jackie said. Speak for yourself. Cornelia comically pouted. Yes, but perhaps it is best we take it slow, and it is getting late. Jackie gestured to the setting sun in the west. Will took a breath to calm herself. Yeah, I think we've destroyed enough of Heatherfield for today. She took out the heart again and was quick to transform everyone back. Jade looked around and saw one of the girls was missing. Hey, where's Heilin? Toru happened to look up at the sound of a girl screaming and opened up his arms to catch the falling Heilin bridal style. I found her, Toru said. Heilin breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, big guy. She hugged him around his neck. Meridian. Caleb continued to tumble down the hillside with Cedric chasing down after him. But Caleb was quick to get himself back on his feet and use the momentum to push himself to run farther and gain some distance from Cedric. He happened to spot a blue swirling portal just at the bottom of the hill. He was so close, but Cedric was closing in fast. Earth, Heatherfield. The group was about to walk away as the sun had set, but a small flash of blue light caught Jade's attention as she turned around and looked in surprise to see an open portal floating in the air. Jackie. Jade, it is time to go. Her uncle said as the group continued to walk. But seriously, you need to look at this. Look at what? Cornelia questioned as the rest of the group turned around and looked in shock to see what Jade was staring at. A portal. Do not touch. Uncle exclaimed. All the girls looked in fear while Jackie, Jade, Toru, and Uncle were on high alert. Suddenly, the young rebel named Caleb fell out of the portal and landed on a pile of trash to cushion his landing. But that wasn't the end of it. Look, Irma shouted as the form of the snake man named Cedric came out of the portal halfway. His imposing figure was enough to make the 5 newly christened guardians scream and quake with fear. Cedric looked as though he was about to grab the downed Caleb, that is until Jackie quickly ran in and jumped to deliver an airborne roundhouse to Cedric's face. The snake man looked disoriented before he glared and hissed at Jackie, who took a combative stance. He was about to attack him, before the snake man gave a painful hiss after being hit by a beam of green magic. Uncle had his blowfish handy as he shot more blasts of Kai magic at Cedric, causing him a great deal of pain as the Kai magic actually seemed to burn him. He was also pelted by large barrels courtesy of Toru, who was quick to grab whatever large object he could find and throw it at Cedric to knock him back even further. Jade wanted to get a hit into as she tried to run and jump to deliver a kick to Cedric, but he saw it coming and grabbed Jade by the foot before throwing her at Uncle to knock him down. Jackie tried to hit Cedric again, but the snake man blocked the attack with his large arm before throwing him out towards Toru to knock him back a bit. Will the necklace change us back? Terani shook Will, who seemed paralyzed with fear. Cedric used this opportunity to seize Caleb, who had just finished pulling himself out of the trash. Now. Will tried to shake off her fear just as the Chan clan each recovered, and Cedric had grabbed Caleb. She quickly activated the necklace's power, and Cedric looked in surprise to see the girls transform into their guardian forms. "Ah, fire!" Will exclaimed. "Me?" Terani questioned, considering it was her element. "Everybody!" Will shouted. All 5 of them looked like they were about to shoot off their magics, but it ended up causing chaos as their respective magics actually seemed to pour into the heart of Kandrakar, causing pink lightning light bolts to shoot everywhere. "Uncle, what is happening?" Jackie asked his uncle amidst the chaos. "Too much magic power," Uncle exclaimed. "Too little control over it." Deciding retreat was the best option, Cedric began to pull himself back through the portal along with the struggling Caleb. "Close it! Close the portal!" Caleb exclaimed as he was about to be dragged through, but Jade quickly ran toward him and grabbed Caleb's hand and tried to pull him back. "I got you." Jade, however, was about to be pulled in along with Caleb. "Jade!" Jackie was quick to grab her legs and try and pull her back down along with Caleb. Toru grabbed Jackie by the waist and tried to pull them out too, but it seemed Cedric was just as strong himself and pulled as hard as he could, with Jackie and Toru trying to pull Jade back, with Jade trying hard not to let go of Caleb. "Will, close it! Close it!" Heilin shouted out of fear as they stopped using their magics. "But, Jade and Jackie, close it now!" Uncle exclaimed as he shot another Kai magic blast with his blowfish at Cedric through the portal, hitting the snake man in the face to disorient him long enough for Jackie and Toru to pull Jade out. However, she ended up losing her grip over Caleb and he fell back into the portal with Cedric just as Will shot a beam of pink energy from the heart at the portal to close it, but it was already too late. "You lost him," Cornelia exclaimed to Will. "That thing got him." The silver dragon. Everyone regrouped at the restaurant as the 5 newly christened, and probably traumatized, guardians sat at a table to try find some kind of comfort while Jackie, Uncle, Jade, and Toru talked with Yan Lin about what they just saw. "I see. What exactly did you see?" Yan Lin asked. "He was about as tall as Jackie, brown hair, brown jacket." Jade described. "But I'm more paying attention as to what grabbed him. It was like some kind of man snake. Here, he looked like this." Heilin showed them the drawing of the snake man she made. "Huh, good drawing." Jade complimented as it actually seemed pretty detailed. Yan Lin recognized the creature. "Lord Cedric." "Lord?" Jackie questioned. "Does that mean he serves this Phobos character?" "Yes, perhaps even as Phobos' right hand." Yan Lin answered. "Though he is not always in that form. A shape-shifter." Uncle's eyes widened slightly. "Sensei?" Toru asked. "A very rare breed of magical creatures." Uncle explained. "They are capable of changing their appearance from that of a normal human to a humanoid animal." "Talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing," Jade commented. "Or in this case, a snake," Jackie added. I'm sorry," Will stuttered. "It all happened so fast I didn't." Yan Lin put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You mustn't blame yourselves." "I don't. I blame her." Cornelia pointed to Will. "She totally blew it." "Hey, I didn't see you trying to help." Jade glared at Cornelia. "At least Will did something. You were screaming and crying like a little baby." "Oh, you do not want to go there," Cornelia warned. "What are you gonna do? Get me all dirty?" Jade challenged. "That is enough," Jackie said firmly, getting all the girls' attention. "No one is to blame for what happened. We were all taken by surprise and getting into an argument won't change what happened." This seemed to calm all of them down, though Jade and Cornelia continued to glare at each other. Will still seemed a bit upset, but Jackie still put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We will figure this out," he told her. "You are not alone in this." "That is right," Yan Lin confirmed. "You only have each other. We must steel ourselves." Uncle said as he looked out the restaurant's window. A new evil has risen, and if we are to prevail, we must stand together. For we are all that stands between our world and a future filled with darkness. Gee, no pressure or anything. Irma commented. Welcome to our world, Jade said. It resumes. The tyrannical Prince Phobos sat on his throne with the dark Kai wizard, Daolan Wang standing at the side of the stairs leading up to the black throne. They both watched as the massive humanoid serpent named Cedric enter the throne room. Report. Phobos told him. Cedric transformed into his humanoid form as he kneeled to Phobos. We have the rebel leader. But I was ambushed at the portal by the Guardians. The Guardians are old women, Cedric. Phobos said. Oh, not so, my prince. Cedric replied. They are now young girls. Phobos' eyes widened as he gazed down to Wang. So, it would seem you were correct. Indeed. Daolan Wang nodded. I told you I had sensed a pulse from the heart of Kandrakar, even across the veil. When a pulse of pure magic that strong is felt across worlds, it can only mean the torch has been passed to a new generation. And they were not alone. Cedric said, getting both their attention. A pair of warriors were by their side as well, in addition some kind of wizard. What sort of wizard? Wang asked with a raised eyebrow. Cedric lifted the sleeve of his robe to reveal his right arm with a burn mark across it. Due to my own abilities as a serpent, I can heal from most injuries rather easily. However, this mark has taken longer than normal. Wang approached Cedric and inspected the wound. He held his left hand as the palm actually had a fanged mouth that opened up. A faint green wisp of smoke emanated from the wound as Wang narrowed his eyes. This is good Kai magic. It would seem a powerful Kai wizard has allied with this new generation of guardians as well. Wang stated. Phobos placed a hand on his chin. So, these new guardians appear to be mentored by this wizard and his warrior companions. He theorized. This could complicate the search for my sister. Finding her is essential if I am to maintain my power over Meridian. All three of the villains turned to see Caleb being dragged in chains into the throne room by a large blue hulking individual who bowed once he sat down near the throne, followed by a pair of guards. The troublemaker Prince Phobos. Thank you, Vathek. The prince turned his attention to Caleb, who glared at him. You seem rather young to be leading a rebellion, far too young for you to waste your life on such a meaningless pursuit. However, that need not be the case. I am willing to overlook your transgressions, and all you need do is reveal to me the location of the other rebels. Do this, and I shall grant you a full pardon. So, what do you say? I'm making you a rather generous offer. You can take your pardon and blow it out your robe. Caleb exclaimed. You'll get nothing from me. Phobos glared at that comment. Wang. The dark Kai wizard pulled out a small twisted wooden staff with a blackish indigo orb embedded into it as he began to recite a dark magic chant, and a dark blue light shot from it to envelop Caleb. Tell me your secrets, Wang said in his spell as Caleb was telekinetically lifted into the air, but the youth struggled against the dark magic trying to invade his psyche. Wang glared as he stopped his spell and Caleb fell onto the floor. For one so young, his will is ironclad. It will take some time before I can extract any useful information. Wang informed Phobos. Very well. Escort him to the oubliette, perhaps the despair will soften him up. As per Phobos' command, Vathek and the guards dragged Caleb out of the throne room. Earth, Heatherfield. Despite it only being a day since their arrival in Heatherfield, the Chan clan was already able to find a decent-sized apartment for all of them. Captain Black helped pull some strings so that they could get something very nice. It was a pretty spacious with a large living area with a connected kitchen, and 2 separate bathrooms. There were 3 bedrooms as well. Jade would get one to herself, as would Jackie. Toru and Uncle had to share one, but that was alright. There was furniture already placed there, including a television. They'd still have to buy some food, but that'd be fine. Just below the apartment, however, was an empty space that would soon serve as the newest location of Uncle's rare finds. Toru and Uncle were both on the phone with Captain Black about moving all of the merchandise from the store in San Francisco, with Uncle making certain to handle all the magic books and items with absolute care. One more thing. Do not read spells. Uncle does not want frogs in antiques. Uncle said over the phone. As they did, Jade sat on a couch thinking about what went down yesterday. So, Jackie, what do you think about all this? Kinda cool that you're training superheroes. Jackie gave a small sigh as he sat down next to his niece. Jade, this isn't a game. These girls are becoming involved in some sort of magical war, battling forces they can barely understand. And that's why we're here, right? Jade asked. I mean, compared to Shendu and his family, this Phobos guy should be a real cakewalk. Plus, this is you we're talking about. Look how well you trained me. I'm sure you can have these guys cranking out magic kung fu in no time. She excitedly got off the coach and made several chops and kicks. Jade, these girls are not like you. Jackie tried to explain. This is all beyond new to them, they're scared. Jade's excitement faded. Yeah, I could kinda see that. But, I think they're gonna do okay. What makes you say that? Jackie asked. Cause, they got you to teach them. Jade said. Jackie couldn't help but smile at that as Jade continued. I could probably give them a few pointers too, not to mention they got Toru who's about as strong and nice as they come, heck even Uncle might be able to help. Jackie honestly felt very proud of Jade at that moment. It was no secret that she has always been impulsive, but she was right. These girls, despite being scared, were not alone in this. Not if any of them had anything to say about it. Sheffield Institute. At the same, the 5 girls in question were eating lunch in the quad outside, talking about what they saw yesterday as well. That poor boy. I wonder who he was. Will said. I wonder what that thing did to him. Hey Lin said. It's what it could have done to us that worries me. Terani stated. I mean, that's what we're supposed to fight with our so-called powers. I'm sorry, but I'm far too pretty to end up as snake crap. Cornelia pointed out. Good thing Jackie was there, I mean seriously, did you see him? Irma recalled. He kicked that thing right in its face. Oh, and the Toru guy. Hey Lin pointed out. You see how big that kinda stuff he threw at it? I definitely wouldn't wanna challenge him to an arm wrestling match, that's for sure. Will said. I probably wouldn't mess the old guy either, Terani said. I mean, he's a real-life wizard. That and he slapped Cornelia on the head. Irma snickered, causing the other girls to laugh except Cornelia herself who merely pouted. Jade seems pretty cool too. Will said. From the sound of it, she's actually used to all this magic stuff. Kinda nice to know that we're not the only ones stuck with this. She looked into her backpack to see the heart of Kandrakar inside, still finding it difficult to believe that all that power came from something so small. At the same time, she also can't help but wonder what happened to that boy they saw yesterday. Meridian, Phobos Castle. Caleb was still in chains as he was being escorted by several guards, Vathek included, underground toward the dungeon. But he wasn't about to make it easy for them. He shoved his elbow into the guard on his right and used the sudden surprise to slide underneath the guard holding his chains and shove up both his feet into the chest of the guard in front of him before jumping up and over the guard he slid under, landing on his head to knock him down. He dropped and rolled out of the way to avoid an axe slice from another guard, only to jump onto by Lurden and later several others. Within minutes, Caleb had been detained. Caleb was placed in a small cage that was being lowered down into a deep pit. Once he reached the bottom, the floor in the cage opened and he fell onto the ground as the cage began to rise up. Let's see how eternity in the oubliette suits you, traitor. Vathek said to Caleb before slipping a key into a half loaf of bread and dropped the bread into the pit before walking away with the rest of the guards. Caleb reached for the bread, but a pair of slimy green hands also reached for it. Caleb pulled the wrists of the hands to toss the creature the hands belonged to, revealing a small, green-skinned, goblin-like, creature. Blunk not steal. Trade. The creature named Blunk pulled out a dead rat. Rat for bread. Good deal, yes. Blunk. Caleb recognized the name. You're that smuggler. Businessman. Blunk corrected as he held the bread in his hands. I didn't fight for freedom this long to die in a hole with a talking pickle. Caleb stated as he looked around at his new surroundings. Pickle. Blunk questioned. Caleb looked up the walls as he spoke his thoughts aloud. Saw the new guardians. It looks like a long wait to get rescued. I'll have to get out of here myself. Blunk picked up a skull. Same thing he said. He mostly out of here, aren't you? He laughed as he used the skull like a puppet. Yes I am. Caleb tried to actually climb the wall. I've been in tougher places than this. Okay, not smellier places. Too high. Never make it. Blunk said as he began to eat the bread. Have you even tried? The young rebel yelled as he slipped and fell back down. 3,700 times. The little creature answered before biting down on something hard and spat it out, revealing it to be the key as it landed near Caleb. Blanc then threw away the loaf of bread. Keep it, Caleb said as he used the key to unlock his chains. I don't plan to still be here for dinner. Phobos, throne. Cedric, you are certain you saw the faces of these new guardians? The prince asked his right hand, still in his humanoid form. Yes, my prince, he confirmed. Then find the one who bears the heart of Kandrakar and bring her to me. As you wish. Earth. School was over as Will, Cornelia, Terani, Heylin, and Irma walked along the sidewalk of the streets. Heylin seemed pretty more chipper than usual. So, when do we go? Tonight. Whoa, slow down Tinker Bell. Cornelia told her. Tomorrow's picture day, remember. Maybe we can rescue this rebel leader after, right? Terani seemed to agree. Call me a wimp, but in the school yearbook, I'd still like to have a face. Forget picture day, Irma stated. I don't care what I look like. I care about who I am. Let's go kick some evil butt. I wanna go, but I don't know how much help we're gonna be by soaking him and covering him with garbage. Will said. Let's just talk with Jackie and everyone before we do anything crazy. Terani, don't you normally go this way? My dad's cooking tonight. I'm eating at Heylin's place. So am I, Cornelia said. Same here, Irma said. You wanna come, Will? Maybe later. Will told them. Alright, see you tomorrow. Terani waved off as the four girls turned around and walked away. As Will saw them leave, there was a tinge of sadness inside her chest. A part of her wanted to go with them, but it still felt a little awkward. Despite sharing the same experience as yesterday, she still felt a bit of an outsider. So, with a sigh she decided to head down an alleyway to take a shortcut. Further down the street, Jade was skating along the sidewalk, using a hockey stick to play around with a puck when she saw Will walking down the alleyway. Hey Will, Jade called to her. The red-haired girl heard her name being called and was about to turn around, when suddenly a pair of hands grabbed her with one clasping over her mouth to prevent her from screaming as she was pulled into the alleyway. Jade's eyes widened before she skated into alley. Once she got there, she looked in surprise to an open portal with Will's backpack laying on the ground in front of it. Jade considered reaching for her cell phone and calling Jackie, but the longer she waited, the more danger Will was in. Besides, considering all the tough spots she was in, she could probably find Will and get out before the bad guys did anything. So, she jumped into the portal after her. However, right as she did, she failed to notice a shocked Terani looking in the direction Jade left, her destination being another realm. Silver Dragon. Okay, so how many adventures have you guys all been on? Heylin asked Jackie, Uncle, and Toru excitedly as she sat down with them at a table, along with Cornelia and Heylin. Have you been on them with Grandma before? How many bad guys did you beat up? She kept asking as Yan Lin brought out some tea for everyone. Please slow down, Jackie said in a humble tone. I've been on so many adventures, I've lost count. So, are you a wizard too, Jackie? Irma asked. No, only Uncle and Toru use magic. Jackie answered before being slapped by Uncle. Ow. Toru is only an apprentice. He has yet to utilize spells in combat. Uncle stated. One more thing, where is Jade? She went out for some street hockey. At least that's what she said. Toru pointed out. Well, where's Terani? Cornelia asked. Wasn't she right behind us? Almost on cue, the bespectacled girl in question came running in through the front door, holding Will's backpack. She was out of breath having ran all the way. Whoa, you just got back from a marathon or something? Irma asked. Will's backpack, Terani said in between her breaths. I found it right by a portal. I think she was kidnapped by that snake thing from before. What? Jackie questioned as everyone looked in surprise. And, I saw Jade go in after her. Jade went in, Toru questioned. Iya, Uncle exclaimed. Jackie slapped his hand against his face. Jade, not again. Again, Cornelia questioned. She has done this sort of thing before. Jackie said. Always getting herself into trouble, despite my insistence otherwise. Is the heart of Kandrakar still in Will's backpack? Yan Lin asked. Yeah, I think so. Turan reached in and pulled out the crystal in question. That could be the reason Will was kidnapped. Yan Lin said. Phobos seeks power, and if he could obtain the power of the heart, his own power would double, perhaps even triple. So it's a good thing he doesn't have it. Right? Cornelia asked a little nervously, trying not to sound insensitive. Forget the crystal, Irma exclaimed. Our friends are stuck in another dimension. What are we waiting for? Let's guardian up and, ow. Uncle had slapped her on the forehead. You cannot use guardian powers. Uncle exclaimed. Will is bearer of the heart, so only she can use it. Not even you could use it, sensei. Toru asked. Despite being a Kai wizard. Uncle is a Kai wizard, never a guardian. I could never access its power. Uncle stated. Jackie sighed. Then we'll have to go and get them. Terani, do you know where the portal is? Perhaps it's still open. Yeah, I know where it is. She nodded. Good, then you will lead me, Uncle, and Toru there. Jackie said. We will find Will and Jade and bring them back. Wait, what about us? Hey Lin asked. We can't just sit here. Yeah, one of our friends was kidnapped and another is risking her life to save the other. Irma stated. Terani, despite still being scared, was in agreement. I want to come too. We might not have guardian powers, but if we get Will the crystal, we should be able to use them, right? We must go. There is no time to dilly-dally. Uncle stated as he stood up. Wait, hold on. Cornelia stopped everyone. This is crazy. You guys are seriously going to jump into some evil magic world to save some people we hardly know. Cornelia, their names are Will and Jade and they're in horrible danger. Irma told her. Yeah, last year, I was the new girl. Terani added. If you do not want to come, Cornelia, you don't have to. Jackie said. Despite Jackie being honest, Cornelia gave way to her friend's peer pressure. Okay, I'll come. Guilt me, why don't you? What about you, Grandma? You coming too? Hey Lin asked her grandmother. Unfortunately, I can't, she said with reluctance. I would only be in the way. But you are former guardian, aren't you? Toru asked. Yes, however once the heart was passed on to Will and the others, any connection I may have had was severed. Any magic I use drains my own life force. Yan Lin explained. If I went, I'd only be a liability. I am sorry. Jackie seemed to get it. Very well, we will be back. Why are we standing around? Uncle exclaimed as he was already out the door. By time we finish conversation, Will and Jade will be enveloped by forces of darkness. Hurry. With that, Terani, still holding the heart of Kandrakar, led Jackie, Irma, Toru, Cornelia, Uncle, and Hey Lin in the direction of the portal she saw, while Yan Lin had a concerned expression on her face. All she could do was hope for their safe return. Meridian, Phobos throne. Phobos and Wong both watched as Cedric, along with a pair of guards, enter the large chambers, along with the captive Will with both her hands tied behind her back and a thick cloth tied over her mouth. She was dragged in and forced onto her knees just before the throne. The bearer of the heart, Prince Phobos. Cedric presented with a hiss. The bound and gagged Will looked up in fear towards Phobos. Despite appearing as a normal human, there was something very intimidating about him. Looking into his eyes was almost like looking into an empty pit. Release her bonds. Phobos ordered as the two guards came by to untie her hands and remove her gag. I apologize for such a rough treatment, my dear. Phobos tried to put on a sincere act, but that didn't make Will any less afraid. Please just let me go, she shook with fear. I will, provided you give me the heart of Kandrakar. Phobos told her. Hand me the crystal, and I promise you will be returned home safely. But, I don't have it. Will stuttered as Phobos narrowed his eyes. I swear, I don't have it. I don't know where it is. Wong. Once Phobos said his name, the dark Kai wizard in question lifted his specter and enveloped Will in a dark blue light, which vanished shortly after. She speaks the truth, my prince. Wong said. She does not possess the heart, nor does she know its location. Perhaps it was lost in between worlds. He glanced smugly at Cedric, who glared in response. Well, then I guess she's free to go. This came from Jade as she swung down from the ceiling on a vine of thorns before slamming her feet, still with her skates on, right into Cedric's face to knock him down before smacking Wong across his face with her hockey stick. She used this sudden surprise to quickly skate and slide to kick the two guards down. Jade, how did you? Talk later. Let's go. Jade took Will's hand and was about to run out until she was enveloped in a dark yellow light and telekinetically pulled towards Phobos, who rose from his throne. Jade. Will was about to try and help, but Cedric had already recovered and ensnared her with his tail. "Who is this?" Phobos questioned as Jade struggled in his magical grip. "Another guardian. I cannot sense the heart's power emanating from her," Wong said as he tried to feel the crystal's magic. "So, she is not a guardian. She was with them when I was ambushed at the portal," Cedric reported. Phobos brought Jade closer. "I'm impressed someone so young was able to infiltrate my castle without setting off the alarm. You think you're the only bad guy I've seen, pal. Compared to them, you're pretty small time," Jade cracked. "You would do well to watch your tone, child," Phobos warned. Jade gave her titular scoff. "Please. I've been face to face with dragons and demons. An emo pretty boy in a fancy bathrobe doesn't scare me." Right when she said that, Phobos had flung her to the pillar along the wall, causing her to groan in pain as she slid down. "Jade, stop it," Will begged, only to moan as Cedric squeezed her even tighter. "Take them both the oubliette with the rebel leader," Phobos ordered. "I do not tolerate defiance." The guards did as their prince requested as they picked up the downed Jade along with Will and escorted them out of the chamber. Earth. Terani had led the group of fighters and newly christened guardians to the portal she found in the alleyway, the one she saw Jade jump into after Will was grabbed. "Will and Jade are on the other side of that," Lin asked nervously. "Sensei, once we go into the portal, how will we know where to find Jade and Will?" Toru asked. "Once we enter Meridian, the heart of Kandrakar will seek its owner," Uncle responded. "The crystal will lead us to Will, and by extension Jade. I will go first and check for any danger," Jackie said. "Once I say it is clear, you will all follow in behind me." Jackie walked into the portal. "Is he going to be okay?" Irma asked with concern. "He's been through stuff like this before, he'll be fine," Toru responded. Jackie's head popped out of the portal a few seconds later. "There is a small drop below here, but otherwise it appears to be safe." He went back in as the others began to follow suit. "I'm not going in first," Cornelia said right as Uncle, Terani, Lin, and Toru entered the portal. "But if I'm last, I'll just chicken out." "Well, I won't, I'll go last," Irma said. "Then you'll have to push me," Cornelia told her. "Okay." Irma smirked as she pushed Cornelia into the portal before jumping in herself. Meridian. Cornelia screamed as she fell into the pond and came out with an octopus-like creature on her head. "Gross. Gross. Gross." Irma jumped in and landed with a slash next to Cornelia. "Wow. That really wakes up your underwear. Is everyone accounted for?" Jackie asked to the whole group. "Here." Lin raised her hand. "Present," Terani said. "Right here." Irma nodded. "Uncle is here," the old man said with Toru nodding. "So, this is Meridian." Toru looked around. The dark and grim setting of this magical world made each of the four girls nervous. Jackie and Toru, however, seemed to steel themselves. This was not the time to be scared. Uncle seemed unfazed, however. "Uncle, where do we go from here?" Jackie asked. "We must follow the heart of Kandrakar," Uncle said as Terani took the heart out again, and it pulled itself toward the dark castle that laid far out in front of them, right as a bolt of lightning flashed around it for dramatic purposes. "Ah, I think we found Soren's vacation home," Irma joked a bit to try and lighten the dark mood they were all probably feeling right now. "You're saying Will and Jade have been taken there?" Cornelia questioned. "You could always jump back into the magic swirling portal if you want," Lin said. Cornelia gave a scowl in response. "Everyone, stay close," Jackie told the group. "Let's hurry." The group then began to make their way towards Phobos Castle. "Oubliette, I'm gonna have to trust you," Caleb told Blanc. "Trust Blanc?" "Yes." Caleb held the chains he was cuffed to previously. "Put your foot, or hoof or whatever it is in here." Blanc did as he said as Caleb continued. "When I count to 3, jump as high as you can. I'm gonna throw you out in 1, 2, listen," Caleb exclaimed. "You're gonna find a rope and lower it." "Rope. Yes. Good plan." "No, terrible plan." Caleb knew this was probably not gonna work, but he was out of options. "But even if you betray me, at least it'll smell better down here." Blanc frowned as Caleb readied the chains. 1, 2, 3. Caleb threw the chains up as Blanc jumped. The green creature screamed as he was flung all the way toward the top and he grabbed the ledge. However, he lost his grip on the ledge and fell back down onto Caleb and bounced off him before landing on the floor. Sorry, let's try again. Before they could, however, the two looked up once they heard the cage being lowered down. That's right, Guardian of the Veil. You're going down there, with the rebel leader. Vathek said as the cage was lowered down. The cage opened as both Will and Jade fell out and landed on Caleb before the cage was pulled back up. Both girls got up to see Caleb standing up as well. Wait, you're that guy from yesterday. Will recognized him. You're not one of the guardians I saw. Where's your older sister? Oh, she's a guardian alright. Who are you, pal? Jade questioned. My name is Caleb, I'm the leader of the rebellion. He answered. Wait, you're the rebel leader. What are you rebelling against? Diaper rash, Will questioned. Hey girly girl, I'm 15. You're 15. Jade questioned. You look like you're in your 20s for crying out loud. You must really pack your protein meals here. Caleb shook his head. Never mind that, just activate the crystal and fly us out of here. We don't exactly have it. Jade said, causing Caleb to look in disbelief. What do you mean you don't have it? Hey, give me a break, will ya? Will exclaimed. Just yesterday, I was a normal girl who found out I have some kind of magic powers. Now I've been kidnapped, dragged through a magic portal, tied up, interrogated by a psychopathic prince, and dropped into the bottom of a hole. Not exactly used to this kind of stuff. Blanc walked toward them. Why catch them? Not catch Blanc. Will screamed as she hid behind Caleb, while Jade looked a bit confused. What is that? Some kind of gremlin. Not gremlin, passling. Blanc stated. We trade stuff. He held out the chains Caleb previously had to Jade. Trade chains for hoodie. Good deal, yes. Now thanks. Jade shook her head. Caleb sighed. Great. I need a rope, some kind of weapon, but what do I get? Some new guardian who forgot the source of her own power, and a little shrimp with attitude. Jade chose to ignore that comment. Don't worry. Jackie will rescue us. Jackie? Caleb questioned. Her uncle, Will said before looking toward Jade. And Jade, no offense to Jackie, but we're kinda stuck in a hole, in an evil castle, in another dimension. The odds of him getting us out of here is pretty slim. Jade scoffed. I got stuck in another dimension before, filled 7 super-powered, man-eating demons. I'm sure he'll be around, then he can kick Phobos' butt and we'll be out of here like that. Kick Phobos' butt? Caleb questioned. I doubt that. You don't know Phobos. He's enslaved and ruled over Meridian for over a decade. We've been fighting non-stop and barely made a dent. I don't see what good one uncle is gonna do. Jade smirked. I might not know this Phobos guy, but he doesn't know Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, along with Uncle, Toru, Irma, Terani, Cornelia, and Heylin had made it closer toward the castle. They were right at the edge of the moat surrounding the dark fortress. Heylin looked into the water and saw something moving. Oh, fishes. This proved to be incorrect as a massive serpent-like monster came out of it. Heylin screamed as it was about to bite down onto her, but Toru quickly ran in front of it and held its jaws back with pure strength. This kept it busy long enough for Uncle to blast it with Kai magic from his blowfish to knock it back into the water. Thanks guys. Heylin smiled as Toru helped her up. Swimming is out of the question. Jackie stated. Then how are we gonna get across? Terani asked. Well, I sort of have an idea. Cornelia said as the other girls, even Jackie, looked in surprise. Oh, don't look so surprised. Cornelia climbed on top of a large thorny root and outstretched her hand to concentrate her powers. She was able to pull a vine from a small outpost near the bottom of the castle. She smiled at what she accomplished as everyone else seemed impressed. Nicely done, Cornelia. Jackie nodded. Now let's get swinging, Irma stated. Iya, do I look like Tarzan? I am too old to swing from vines. Uncle protested. Oh, come on, Cornelia moaned. All of us together are too heavy for this single vine to support. Jackie said. We'll have to go in groups. Toru, take Uncle and Heylin. Cornelia, Irma, and Terani are with me. Toru grabbed onto the vine first as Uncle and Heylin both hung onto Toru himself. He took a running start before jumping and swinging. For some reason, Toru gave a George of the Jungle cry as he swung. When he reached the outpost, he grabbed the ledge with his right hand and pulled himself along with Heilin and Uncle. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? Heilin asked Uncle, who merely looked away. Toru sent the vine back to Jackie as he grabbed onto it, followed by Terani, Irma, and Cornelia. Everyone, hang on tight, Jackie said before the four of them swung from the ledge toward the outpost. Thought they made it. Cornelia, being at the bottom, accidentally landed face first into the brick wall. Irma and Terani were already up as Jackie helped Cornelia get up as well. However, right as the group walked into the castle, they failed to notice something was watching them. A massive cyclops that appeared to be made entirely out of rock looked down from the wall he was embedded into and saw them enter. Throne room. Wong held out both his hands towards the floor as a magical projection of what the monster outside was seeing was shown to him, as well as Phobos and Cedric. Wong's eyes shot open as he felt a familiar presence. The heart of Kandrakar is here, along with the other guardians and a few of their allies. Wong said. Excellent. Phobos smiled. Those two girls served their part as the bait. Now for the trap. Cedric hissed before transforming into his massive serpent-like form. It's lunch time. This time, Jackie held the heart of Kandrakar as he took point along with Uncle, letting the crystal lead them toward wherever Will and Jade were. Toru hung in the back with the four girls in the center. They walked through the darkened tunnels with the crystal being the only illumination for them. Okay, so once we find Will and Jade, then what? Terani wondered. We leave, obviously. Cornelia stated. This place is too gross and scary to stay for any extended period of time. What if we run into that snake man thing again? Irma asked. We'll have to fight, won't we? Snake man not important, Uncle stated. Finding Jade and Will is. Uncle is right. Jackie agreed. Once we find them, we leave. I'd rather we not stay in this place longer than we have to. No argument here. Terani nodded. But how much further till we find them? Toru asked. The heart senses Will's presence. We are close. Uncle observed how the heart was glowing as the group exited the tunnels and entered the dungeon area. Once they entered, the crystal pulled even harder as Jackie followed it and was led toward a pit. Jade. Uncle called down. Will. Heilin called as well. Uncle Jackie. Jade called back from the bottom of the pit as she, Will, Caleb, and Blanc looked up to see the group. Heilin. We're down here. Will called with a wide grin, never being so happy to hear some familiar voices. Jackie, release the heart. Uncle told his nephew, who let go of the crystal and let it fall into the pit and toward Will. Watch this. This is so cool. Jade told Caleb, having a good idea what was gonna happen next. Guardians unite. Will was enveloped in a pink flash of light that shined straight upward to envelop the other girls as all five of them had transformed into their guardian forms. Caleb looked in surprise. Whoa. He breathed in awe. Told ya. Jade smirked toward him. Grab on. Will told Jade and Caleb as they both held onto her body. Using her wings as well as her enhanced strength, she took flight with both of them, along with Blanc who leapt onto her and caught her legs. She was able to fly up in no time where she was warmly greeted by everyone. You guys really came, Will said elated. You really are my friends. Jackie put a hand on her shoulder. I told you would not be alone. Will smiled back as Jackie turned to his niece. Jade, are you alright? Pleased that pretty boy Lucer couldn't give a little kid nightmares. Jade scoffed, though she was inwardly glad Jackie helped find her. Who is this? Jackie asked, referring to Caleb. The rebel leader, believe it or not. Jade responded. You're the rebel leader. Cornelia asked him. He's actually kinda cute, she thought. I am. And you are the new guardians. And the rest of you? Caleb asked. I am Jackie Chan. This is my uncle, and Toru. A pleasure. Toru bowed his head while Uncle just waved his hand. Look, we're all happy to see each other, but how about we save the greetings for after we get out of here? Irma said. That is a good idea. Jackie said. Take Blanc. The passling revealed himself. Blanc nose tunnel. Secret way out. Ah, who's this little cutie? Heilin gushed. Careful Heilin, you don't know where that thing's been. Will said. And what exactly is that? Jackie asked, referring to the creature. Something called a passling. Jade answered. I've heard of them in my readings. Toru said. Magical creatures that specialize in trading. So we're gonna rely on a walking talking toad to get us out of here? Irma asked. Blunk not toad. Blunk passling. Blunk not want to stay in castle, I no way out. Blunk stated. The day I trust a passling is the day I die. You can't trust, ow. Caleb's protests were cut off by Uncle delivering a dope slap to his head. Has rebel leader forgotten where he was? Uncle questioned. We are inside evil castle ruled by evil prince. Does rebel leader wish to escape? Yes. Then we follow passling and rebel does not question. Caleb was rendered silent before stepping aside. I really like your uncle, Jade. Irma whispered to her. Hell hath no fury like a pissed off uncle. Jade smirked. Well, if we are all agreed, let us go. Jackie said. Blunk was it. Lead the way. Yes, trust Blunk. Blunk lead you all out of castle. The passling took the lead and the group was about to follow, that is until Uncle stopped in his tracks. Aiya, he uttered as he felt a chill go down his spine, catching Toru's attention. Sensei, what is it? Uncle has, the willies. That statement confused most of the group before their attention was caught by a large plume of blue smoke that appeared from the other side of the dungeon. Once the smoke cleared, it revealed the huge snake man known as Cedric and the dark Kai wizard Daolan Wang. Leaving so soon? Cedric hissed as all 5 girls were taken aback, besides Jade who glared while Jackie, Caleb, and Toru took combative stances, even Uncle pulled out a blowfish. So, you are the new guardians of the Veil. Wang said to the girls. Soon to be the last, for none of you are leaving here alive. Gone. Ren. Kui. Wang held up his scepter and shot out 3 plumes of dark smoke that took the form of 3 humanoids wearing black clothes, dark orange skin with glowing blue marks on their bodies. One was bald while the other 2 had dark red hair. All 3 of them had pitch black eyes as they each wielded a staff, a hammer, and a massive shuriken respectively. Whoa, where did those guys come from? Heilin exclaimed in shock. They are warriors made of dark Kai. Uncle said before he gasped and looked toward Wang. You are a Kai wizard. Wang gave a sinister smile in response. Oh, they are but the least of your worries. Cedric sneered with a hiss, right before over 24 guards and Lurden soldiers poured into the dungeon via the stairs along the walls or descending on the chains from the ceiling. Within seconds the group of guardians, warriors, and wizards were surrounded by their enemies in large numbers. Why do I have the feeling these guys were expecting us? Terani gulped. Jackie sighed. Bad day. Attack. Cedric ordered as the horde of enemies charged towards the group. The 5 guardians took flight, with Will grabbing Jade, and Heilin grabbing Blunk. Toru charged back as he ran and used his massive hands to sweep away several Lurdens. Caleb ran towards a guard that tried to swing his sword down on him, but Caleb ducked and grabbed the guard by his arms and threw him back into a group of guards. Caleb picked up the down sword and used it to block an axe strike from another guard. Jackie ran to avoid the charging guards and Lurdens before running straight towards the wall and actually ran up the wall, much to the guard's surprise. He jumped down and landed in the middle with his hands before sticking out his feet and spinning them like a helicopter blade to knock them all back. Jackie however had little time to rest as he just barely jumped back to avoid a hammer strike from the dark Kai warrior named Kui. Jackie picked up 2 downed shields from the guards he just took down and used them to block more hammer swings from Kui. Uncle took out a blowfish in one hand and a dried up lizard in the other. Yu mo gui gui fi di zao. He recited his spell as he blasted several stun spells at the incoming guards and Lurdens, knocking each down with a single blast before coming face to face with Wang and took a stance. Step aside wizard. Wang demanded. Your tepid spells cannot stop me. Be warned. I was a student of Chi Master Fong. Uncle warned. And I am Daolan Wang. The dark master who defeated Fong. He said with an evil smirk. Uncle gave an audible gasp. You will pay for that. Uncle blasted a green Kai magic beam at Wang who responded with a dark blue beam from his scepter as the magic beams collided. Irma flew in the air as several Lurdens tried to swing at her via the chains, but Irma blasted water out from her palms to knock all the creatures off the chains, though she could just barely avoid the dark Kai warrior Gon who jumped and grabbed her by the legs to throw her toward the ground, but Irma flapped her wings to stabilize herself just before she could hit the ground and faced Gon who wielded his staff. You gonna fight me with a stick? Irma questioned. May wanna rethink that. In direct response, Gan's stick actually converted into a 3-chain linked weapon that he spun almost like a nunchuck before charging at Irma as she instinctively brought up a wall of water to try and shield herself, but the attack slashed through the water like nothing and knocked Irma back toward the wall. Okay, she rubbed her head. Guess with evil, sticks are all the rage. She quickly flew again to avoid another attack from Gon. Lin flew around higher into the dungeon, with Blunk holding on for dear life. The girl looked toward the ceiling to see the doors where several more soldiers were pouring in. Lin inhaled and blew a large gust of wind into one doorway to blow all the soldiers further back inside before closing the gate and wrapping a chain around it to lock them up. She turned around to see more gates were still open and more soldiers were pouring in. They just keep coming, she called to everyone. Cornelia, can you use vines to wrap up the gates? I'm coming. Cornelia flew toward one staircase along the wall and landed to see several guards coming her way. She placed one palm on the stairway. In less than a second, several vines and plant tendrils shot out to ensnare several of the guards, which crawled up towards the gate to close and wrap shut. Terani threw out a flame from her hand to blast away several incoming guards and landed on the ground to come back to back with Caleb as they were surrounded by several more guards. Hey, duck, Terani said to Caleb. He did just that as she raised both her hands to create a single flame which she expanded and exploded outward like a circular wave of fire to blast all the guards away. Nice one. Caleb smiled. Thanks, look out. Both she and Caleb were knocked back by a tail strike from Cedric as he loomed outward them. He gave a loud roar as he shot directly at the pair. Will flew around as she still held Jade by her arms. Man, wish I had some fancy elemental power. All I can really do is fly. You can punch too, Just, whoa. Will pulled her and Jade up as they barely avoided a bladed attack from the shuriken tossed by the Dark Kai warrior Ren. The weapon returned to him like a boomerang before he tossed it toward the two girls, forcing Will to fly down to the ground where she set Jade down as Jade herself took a combative stance. Okay, you hit him high. I'll hit him low, Jade said, before Will pushed her out of the way to avoid a close-ranged attack from Ren who jumped towards them and slashed his weapon at them. Will flew backwards and picked up a downed shield to block the slashes and blade strikes from Ren as the Dark Kai warrior forced the Guardian close towards the pit she was previously imprisoned in. Will, fly now, Jade called as she ran and did a flying kick to Ren's back, just as Will took to the air. The kick knocked Ren down into the pit. Once he landed, he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Ah yeah, Jade and Will, what a team. High five. Will was a bit surprised but returned Jade's high five. Think I could probably use some kung fu training myself. Jackie continued to use his dual shields to block the relentless hammer strikes from Kui, as he backed and found himself back to back with Uncle who was still in a magic beam clash with Wong. Uncle, what are these things? Jackie asked as he continued to block more of Kui's attacks. Warriors made entirely out of Dark Kai. Uncle answered as he continued his struggle against Wong. So, who do we stop them? Jackie questioned. They can be beaten by receiving a fatal blow, or by defeating their master. Uncle replied. Jackie soon got an idea. Uncle, switch. He blocked another hammer strike with one shield but used the second one like a blunt weapon to knock Kui back before backflipping over Uncle who turned around and zapped Kui with a good Kai magic blast to evaporate him. Wong was taken by surprise by Jackie's intervention that he couldn't block Jackie's flying kick to knock him back. Wong struggled but growled as he blasted more Dark Kai magic from his scepter, which Jackie used his remaining shield to block before pressing the advantage. Terani shot out another flame towards Cedric to knock him back, before Caleb tried to press the advantage with his sword. But Cedric used his tail to grab Caleb by his ankle and used him as a weapon to smack Terani back and knock them both down. He then grabbed both of them with his massive hands and pinned them to the wall and hissed with delight, ready to devour them whole. Cedric. The snake man turned around to see Toru, standing amidst a large pile of 10 unconscious guards and Lurdans. Pick on someone your own size. Toru challenged as he cracked his knuckles. As you wish. Cedric glared at him as he dropped Terani and Caleb before turning around to charge at Toru with a roar as the sumo-sized man ran toward Cedric in response. Once they met, Toru was the first to attack with a punch towards Cedric's face to knock him back. Toru then delivered an elbow to Cedric's chest and followed with several more punches, until Cedric caught Toru's next punch in his hand before delivering a punch into Toru's large chest to knock him into the air and send him rolling back towards the wall. Cedric slithered his way towards Toru, who spotted a chain attached to the wall he was at. Right as Cedric closed in, Toru pulled the chain from the wall, with a large section of stone still attached to the end. He used it like a makeshift club to slam the stone across Cedric's face, shattering it and knocking the snake man back before Toru slung the chain over both his shoulders and held the ends out as they draped down his sides. Both Toru and Cedric glared at one another as they charged at each other once more. Toru flung the ends of the chain at Cedric like a pair of whips that knocked him back and even cut him across his body, spilling drops of his blood over the floor. After the fifth strike, Toru threw one end towards Cedric's neck that wrapped around it as Toru pulled the chain in, pulling Cedric's face towards Toru's fist. But as Cedric reeled back, he raised both his fists into the air and slammed them onto Toru's back to knock him down before Cedric flailed his tail to knock Toru back towards the wall. Toru stood up to catch his breath as he rubbed some blood from his mouth before charging at Cedric again. Irma thrusted both her hands forward to send a torrent of water directly at Gon, but he spun his three-section staff like a helicopter blade to block the attack. Irma tried to press the advantage, but this seemed to leave the Dark Kai warrior open for a flame attack courtesy of Terani to knock him back towards the wall where Caleb raised his sword to bring down onto Gon, where he vanished into a puff of smoke. "Thanks guys." Irma breathed a sigh of relief. "Hey, what are friends for?" Terani said with a smile. Caleb couldn't help but smile after all. Maybe these new guardians weren't so helpless after all. Wong meanwhile continued to blast Dark Kai magic at Jackie, who ran, ducked, and jumped to avoid each blast, while also using his shield to block the attacks. "Your shield cannot protect you forever, mortal," Wong exclaimed. "No, but can you protect yourself from this?" Wong turned around in surprise to see Hei Lin coming in and blowing another gust of wind from her mouth at Wong to send him hurtling into the air, straight for Cornelia, who motioned her arm with a wave, causing a large plant tendril to ensnare the Dark Kai wizard and slam him against the wall to knock him unconscious. "Well done, both of you." Jackie congratulated the Air and Earth Guardians as they sat down. "Well, of course. Did you expect anything less?" Cornelia said cockily, while Hei Lin had a beaming smile. Meanwhile, the only ones still going at it were Toru and Cedric as they locked hands and attempted to press against each other. Their strength seemed rather equal as neither appeared to gain a concrete advantage over the other. "I must admit, I'm impressed," Cedric hissed. "You may be the strongest man I've ever faced. But are you strong enough?" Cedric pushed forward, causing Toru to slide back and lose some ground. The Guardians, Jackie, Uncle, Jade, and Caleb noticed the trouble he was in and were about to help. But Toru wasn't done yet. He dug both his feet firmly into the ground before he actually pressed forward, ducking under Cedric's arms and grabbing his chest. The mighty Toru gave a loud and powerful warrior's yell as he actually lifted Cedric into the air with his bare hands. Everyone stopped and looked with wide eyes and dropped jaws. Jackie, Will, Cornelia, Uncle, Hei Lin, Irma, Terani, Caleb, even Jade and Blanc couldn't believe what they just saw. Not even Cedric himself could believe it as this man, this mighty and strong man, actually lifted the snake man, who was almost twice his own size, into the air. Toru however struggled to hold him this high. Cedric was very heavy. He spotted the hole that Jade and Will were once trapped in. "Shakes, should go back to where they belong," Toru grunted as he walked toward the pit. "Down under." Toru then threw Cedric into the pit. The snake man yelled as he fell and smacked across the wall before landing painfully on the ground. Toru fell to his knees in exhaustion as he tried to catch his breath. Everyone else came to him. "Toru, are you alright?" Jackie asked. "Yes, I will be fine," Toru said in between breaths. "That was awesome." Jade and Hei Lin shouted at the same time. "You were like Superman strong." Hei Lin bounced with joy. "You owned that guy." Slam. Irma shouted with happiness. "He was like twice your size and that was just incredible." Terani beamed. "Bad guys are gonna think twice before messing with you." Cornelia smiled. "Big strong man beat Cedric." Blanc jumped up and down. "Big strong man super good." "Toru, you are just plain incredible," Will said with a grin. Jade ran underneath Toru's arm and lifted it in the air like he was the winner of a heavyweight boxing match. The champion. Toru blushed as he smiled at all their praise, even so when Jackie placed a hand on his friend's shoulder and smiled with a nod. Caleb didn't say anything as he still found it very hard to believe. Cedric was Phobos' right hand, one of the most dangerous monsters in Meridian, yet Toru beat him single-handedly. He smiled. This Toru could be a great ally to the rebellion. Yes, we are all very proud of Toru, my apprentice. Uncle gave a small smile to Toru. But we are still trapped in Evil Castle. Pasling, let us out of here. Everyone was brought back to reality with that statement, as well as the moans and roars from the closed gates sealed by Heylin and Cornelia previously. Follow Blanc. No way out. This way. Blanc ran on his hands and feet out one doorway into a large tunnel where the Guardians, Chan Clan, and Caleb all followed, just as many more Lurdans broke through the gates. As they made a turn and ran or flew deeper into the tunnels, all the Lurdans, caught up and would be right behind them in seconds. Cornelia turned around and slammed the massive gate shut behind her with her powers and grew a large and thick root vine from the ground to seal it shut. That would stop the horde of Lurdans for the time being. The group made it further down the tunnel as Blanc made a turn into a broken and abandoned cell. Everyone followed him. Tunnel, yes. Under moat. Blanc moved a large piece of wood he used to hide the tunnel, only to find it blocked by bars. Bars. No. Blanc cried in despair. I don't think I'd fit anyway. Toru pointed out. Cornelia, can you try and make it bigger for everyone? We'll ask the Earth Guardian. Hang on. The blonde stepped forward and concentrated her powers. The wall shook as a larger hole was made, breaking down the bars. But she had to push further to make the rest of the tunnel big enough for everyone else. Back at the barred gate, the Lurdans tried hard to tear the gate down, but had no luck at all. However, they ended up stopping and stepping aside as Prince Phobos himself walked onto the scene. He growled slightly as he saw that both Cedric and Daolon Wang had been defeated. Perhaps he underestimated his enemies. If you want something done right, Phobos said as he used his powers to blast the gate down. The group all heard the explosion and looked back in surprise. They're coming, Heylin exclaimed. Come on, move faster. Terani said to Cornelia. I'm digging as fast as I can. She pushed further, making the tunnel even bigger, but they were still a long way to go. Jackie Chan looked to the shield he was still carrying and out the cell where he heard the horde of monsters coming closer before a determined look formed on his face. I will buy you time, he said, getting all their attention. Keep waiting, do not wait for me. What, Jackie? Jade tried to stop him, but he was already running outside. I'll be right behind you, Jade. Go. Jackie ran out and back the way they came to intercept their pursuers. Jade was about to run after him, but Toru stopped her by grabbing her by her arm. Jade, no. But we can't just leave him. We're not going to. Will stated. We'll finish the tunnel and be back for him. Is he seriously going by himself? Caleb questioned. Yeah, he is. He's buying us time so we can get out, let's not waste it. Terani stated. But, Jade tried to protest. Jade, you have seen firsthand what Jackie can do. Uncle told his great niece. No evil can best him. He will be fine. Yeah, you of all people should know how awesome your uncle is. Irma said as well. If anyone can do this, it's him. Heylin nodded. The sooner we get this tunnel done, the sooner we can be back and help him. Cornelia pressed forward, making the tunnel even bigger. Brave man, Blanc said, referring to Jackie. Brave men never last long, ow. Blanc was shut up by Uncle's dope slap. Jade, didn't you yourself say Jackie would rescue us? Will asked her. Well, that's what he's doing right now. I doubted him, but now I can see otherwise. I know I only met him just a day ago, but that's gotta be one of the greatest guys I ever met in my life. I trust him completely, do you? Jade looked with obvious concern, but she knew they were all very much right. Jackie has gone on par with the likes of Shendu and every one of his siblings before. He can handle something like this. She smiled. Yes, I do. As Cornelia continued to dig, Caleb silently admitted just how beyond impressed he was. This man had no magic powers, yet these new guardians seemed to trust him completely, and he saw how well he was holding his own back in the dungeon. If they truly trusted this man the way they did, then maybe Caleb could trust him too. Jackie had ran out into the tunnel, and quickly flashed his shield in time to block the magic blast from a certain tyrant. Jackie looked to see the man in royal robes, with his Lurden horde behind him. Prince Phobos, I presume. And just who might you be? My name is Jackie Chan, and I am going to stop you. Oh. Phobos raised an eyebrow. And just how are you going to do that? Jackie ran directly at Phobos in response, who shot another magic blast at him, as the martial artist used the shield to block the attack and press forward. Once he was close enough, he jumped into the air and delivered a flying roundhouse kick to Phobos' face to knock him down onto the ground. The Lurdens all backed up in surprise. Phobos was actually knocked down. Phobos sat up with a surprised look on his face. He felt around his mouth to find a small drop of blood before staring at Jackie Chan. He glared daggers at the man who took a combative stance to prepare himself. Phobos materialized a sword out of thin air into his hand, which he slashed at Jackie, who blocked it with his shield. After the second slash, Jackie jumped back a distance away as Phobos threw another magic attack at him, only for Jackie to duck and throw his shield frisbee style, forcing Phobos to duck. The Lurdens all roared and were about to jump in when Phobos flashed his hand at them. No. Do not interfere. He is mine. Phobos then flew directly at Jackie with his sword, which he swung at him relentlessly, but Jackie was able to avoid each attack with his superior agility, as well as parry his hands against Phobos' wrist. When Phobos went in for a vertical slash, Jackie blocked Phobos' wrist to stop the attack before sweeping his feet to knock Phobos down before he ran further down the tunnel. If you want me, then come and get me. Jackie challenged as he ran away. Phobos gnashed his teeth as he got back up and pursued after his foe. At least 20 yards away from the castle, just past the main moat, a large hole imploded from the ground as the dirt fell inward. All 5 of the guardians flew out as Blunk, Caleb, Toru, and Uncle all climbed out. Okay, everyone here, Will asked as she tried to do a head count. Everyone here except, she noticed however someone was missing from their group. Where's Jade? Everyone looked around to see the girl in question was not with them. Jade, where'd you go? Lin called out to her. But she was right here. Tarini stated. Where did the hell did she run off to? Cornelia questioned. Caleb seemed to have an idea. Well, she did say how concerned she was for her uncle, so. Both Toru and Uncle slapped their faces and groaned as they knew where she'd be. Iya, what is Uncle going to do with that girl? The old man questioned. You guys head for the portal. I'm going after Jade and Jackie. Will told everyone. What about you? Irma asked. I'll meet you guys there, don't worry. Will said. She flew back towards the castle as the rest of the group began to make their way back to the portal. Jackie ran and jumped to avoid the relentless volley of magic blasts that Phobos shot at him. Their battle had continued into a dark and red-walled cavern as Jackie ran up the walls and jumped to leap from stalactites on the ceiling with his hands, still avoiding the blasts Phobos threw at him as the tyrant hovered in the air. Phobos shot a much larger blast at the ceiling where Jackie was, causing it to fall down as Jackie grabbed 2 stalactites before falling with them. However, as he fell, he threw the stalactites he had at Phobos, who waved his hand to create a magic barrier to block the attack just as Jackie landed on his feet and ran further down into the cave. But he had to stop as he actually came before an abyss that appeared bottomless. Nowhere left to run, Phobos stated as he caught up with Jackie. They say that the abyss of shadows is bottomless. Let us see if that is true. Why don't you see for yourself? Phobos turned around in surprise to see Jade coming in with an airborne kick to Phobos' chest to knock him back. Jackie took advantage of this and ducked his body so that Phobos could trip over it and fall into the abyss himself. Jade, Jackie exclaimed as he stood up. You were supposed to go with the others. Yeah, but I decided I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you. Jade said with a smile to Jackie. Her uncle meanwhile sighed but smiled himself as he patted his niece on the head. How very touching. Both Jade and Jackie turned around in surprise to see Phobos hovering out of the abyss, both his hands surging with large amounts of magic power. Jackie immediately put Jade behind himself as he took a combat stance, ready to fight. But, futile. If there is one thing I do not tolerate, it is open defiance. Phobos was ready to lash out all the magic he could muster, but this left him vulnerable for Will to suddenly fly in and grab Phobos by the shoulders, flying at high speeds to slam Phobos face first into a stone wall. Come on. Will extended both her hands as Jackie and Jade jumped toward her. Jackie caught her right hand and Will caught her left as Will flew down toward the abyss and toward a small opening along the side, back toward the outside. I can't believe you, Jade. Will exclaimed. I even gave you a heart-warming speech for crying out loud. Yeah, that was a pretty good speech. Jade said. But nothing beats seeing Jackie beat the crap out of the bad guys. Well, that's true. Will admitted. Will, thank you. Jackie said to her. Hey, it's like you said, you won't be doing this alone. Will smiled at him, as Jackie nodded. As the trio made their escape, Phobos fell to his knees as he pulled himself from the wall. He growled, his body filled with rage. You will not escape, he telepathically contacted his pet. Gargoyle. Do not allow them to escape. Outside, Blanc, Uncle, Caleb, and Toru ran towards the open portal with Cornelia, Helyn, Irma, and Terani flying just above them. Will was quickly able to catch up to them, still carrying Jackie and Jade. There's the portal, Jackie exclaimed. Hell yeah, we are home free, baby. Jade shouted with joy. However, right as she said that, a massive cyclops monster that appeared to be made out of stone. Its left hand was bone thick, while its right hand was massive. It had a large left leg with a skinny right leg. This was the monster known as Gargoyle. Oh, come on. Jade exclaimed as everyone scattered to avoid the massive arm swipes and stomps from the giant monster. Uncle ran along the water as he took out his blowfish and shot a Kai magic blast at Gargoyle, disorienting it briefly before it tried to lash out at him with his massive hand. Sensei. Toru pushed Uncle out of the way as used his hands and strength to keep the Gargoyle's hand back. But the monster was clearly stronger than Toru, who was still tired from his fight with Cedric as he was being pressed down. Get away from the big guy. Irma shouted as she created a large water ball with her hands and threw it right at Gargoyle's eye, knocking it away from Toru. Helyn followed through with a gust of wind from her mouth before flying around Gargoyle to create a whirlwind, which actually began to blow back the large monster and knock it over onto the wet ground. Cornelia was next as she pulled out a massive gathering of mud from the ground around Gargoyle and lifted it into the air before dropping it onto the behemoth with the snap of her fingers. Terani delivered the finishing move, producing a flame and throwing it at the mud-covered Gargoyle, while telekinetically moving the hot flame around him to quickly heat and solidify the mud into thick rock to imprison the monster. Whoa. Go Guardians. Jade said with a grin. Don't celebrate just yet. Caleb advised as they all saw the rock prison beginning to crack as Gargoyle broke out with a loud and booming roar. Aiya! Uncle exclaimed. Go! 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 Jackie shouted to everyone as they all made a break for the portal, with Gargoyle close behind them. Caleb was the first to enter the portal, followed by Blanc, Terani, Uncle, Helyn, Will, Jackie, Jade, Cornelia, and Toru. Everyone made it back to Earth, with Irma being the last, but she screamed as Gargoyle's massive hand reached through the portal and grabbed her. Help! Irma screamed as she was about to be pulled back into Meridian. Jackie quickly ran and jumped onto the stone hand and ran back into the portal, and back into Meridian. Gargoyle looked in surprise to see Jackie running up its arm where he jumped and delivered an airborne punch to its eye. Gargoyle stumbled back as Jackie fell backwards into the portal and back to Earth. Irma was released from Gargoyle's grip as Jackie fell back through the portal. Will acted quickly and pulled out the heart of Kandrakar to close the portal shut. With the crisis now averted, and everyone back home safe and sound, with the Guardians turning back into their normal forms, Jackie suddenly cried, "Ow!" as he waved his right hand, clearly in pain after punching solid stone with his bare knuckles. Suddenly Irma enveloped Jackie in a big hug. You just saved my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you believe what we just did? Cornelia breathed, still feeling the adrenaline. We came, we saw, we kicked evil's butt in the face. Jade shouted as she jumped in the air. Chan Clan and Guardians, 1, Phobos, nothing. That was so amazing. We do make an amazing team. Terani seemed just as excited. Will laughed a bit as well but noticed Cornelia's bruised face. What happened to your face? When we swam across the moat, Cornelia, George of the Jungle, into the wall. Wham! Heylin chuckled, still in a hype herself. First we get all these amazing powers, Irma began to say excitedly. Then we storm evil and kick its butt. Toru totaled Snake Boy. Uncle's a badass wizard. And Jackie punched a stone cyclops in the face. So unreal. Toru shared smiles with Jackie, and even Uncle grinned a bit. The old man gave a nostalgic sigh, clearly remembering his younger days with Yan Lin and her team of guardians, and all the fun adventures they had together. During this, Blanc looked around at his new surroundings before crawling toward the empty street and crawling down into the sewer drain. Caleb stood up. I suppose I should thank you all for saving me. He sounded a bit humble as Jackie walked toward him and extended his hand to shake. Welcome to Earth, Caleb. Jackie smiled. Caleb smiled back as he shook Jackie's hand. Later that night, Silver Dragon. Everyone had regrouped at the restaurant as Yan Lin served them tea, though many of them were still excited about what they just went through. All the flying and zapping was amazing. Jade continued to exclaim. Big Snake Man, Old Dark Wizard, and the big bad Phobos were tough, but they were no match for the Guardians and the Chan clan. She and Irma high-fived. What about that Blanc guy who slipped into the sewers? Do you think he'll be okay? Heylin asked. Passling are resourceful creatures. At least that's what I read. Toru answered. I'm sure he'll be fine. If he comes up through the girls' bathroom, I'm switching schools. Terani said. Ditto. Cornelia agreed. Hey guys, look what I figured out our initial spell. Heylin showed them what she wrote on her hand, J-Witch. Where does the J come from? Will asked. J for Jackie, and for Jade too. Heylin said. J-Witch, huh, sweet. We got our own superhero team name. Jade pumped her fist. For several young girls who have no experience with battle or magic, I must say you have all done very well. Jackie told them all. If this is what fate seems to have in store for all of you, then I look forward to training and working with all of you. He smiled. Ah, we love you to Uncle Jackie. Heylin hugged the man's arm. And the important thing is, the bad guy didn't get our new best friends. Irma said, referring to Jade and Will as they were both enveloped into a group hug. However, Yan Lin put the celebrations to an end. Oh, but Phobos wasn't after Will or Jade themselves. He was after the power of the heart of Kandrakar. But he didn't get the heart. Will said. He may have failed this time, but he will try again. Caleb pointed out as he looked out the window toward the night sky. He's nothing if not persistent. One more thing. Uncle began. Phobos doesn't just seek the heart of Kandrakar. He is also looking for the heir to Meridian, whom is somewhere here on Earth. So, we will have to find the heir before he does. Jackie said, getting serious. Indeed. Yan Lin confirmed. We may have won the battle, but the war has only begun. Though the group looked on in seriousness with that statement, Jade actually seemed more excited than before. Yes. New adventure. She sang and practically danced. Find the heir. Beat Phobos. Yeah. Jackie couldn't help but sigh in exhaustion. Well, time to save the world from the forces of darkness again. And this is the end of part 1 of this What If. Do not forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.